Part 67. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 664. Tao Ran heard the sound of the countdown. Her integration with the mecha was good, but not smooth enough. She concentrated her mental power again and released it instantly, like practicing internal skills to open up the 8 extraordinary meridians and forcefully push away the last bit of blockage. In the last 30 seconds, everyone on the podium shut their mouths. All the lights on the lightboard in their hands were on. The synchronization rate progress bar of Doomsday Red Flame finally stopped at an incredible 100%. The aura of the Doomsday Red Flame changed instantly, and after a huge roar, it started to activate. The shock wave and the energy wave released instantly covered the entire place, like a sky-high giant with a huge aura that looked down upon all living beings. Instilling awe. Nai Hua was 300 meters away and still felt the terrifying kinetic energy. He was flustered and frightened, he was already afraid. How come? Doomsday Red Flame is so majestic and domineering. Among all those who have joined the army or attended a military academy, who has not? Who hasn't tried to start it? But how many of them have been launched in a short period of time? As for him, after his mental power finally reached S 10 months ago, he also tried the Doomsday Red Flame once, but, the one he activated and the one in front of him seemed to be two completely different mechas. There is no such large kinetic energy, no such strong vibration, and no such terrifying aura. How did Baofu do it? Nai Hua's previous joy was gone, and he was a little panicked. Moreover, last night he studied almost all the mechas that were being compared, except for this Doomsday Red Flame. He and his father agreed that based on Baofu's third choice and the fact that she was a woman, she would definitely choose light armor. Nai Ronghai even felt that judging from Baofu's behavior of sniping in the first and second rounds, her melee ability must not be high. She would probably choose a long-range attack mecha. Therefore, Nai Hua almost studied all the charging and attacking mechas in this confrontation last night, except for the Doomsday Red Flame, which they reflexively excluded. Nai Hua couldn't remember the various values of the Doomsday Red Flame. For example, the firepower when attacking, the number of skills, the cooling time. The more this happened, the more anxious it made him. But Nai Hua took a deep breath, his eyes darkened, and he tapped a button on the console. Then he closed his eyes, concentrated again, and amplified the countdown sound in his mecha. On his console, there was a prompt for the referee to enter. He ignored it. The mecha's artificial intelligence prompt also came, and after asking 3 times, he didn't let me access it. He didn't need to think about it. He must have been told to wait for the mecha on the opposite side to fully activate. But is he stupid? Give the other party time, instead of holding yourself back. And now, there is less than 1 minute left before the countdown ends. He has to ensure this advantage. The opponent can activate the Doomsday Red Flame, which shows that he is not weak. He would rather win ugly than risk losing. Therefore, he will never agree to a delay. In this case, he simply refused to access the sound. He didn't hear the request, so it didn't count as disobedience. He concentrated and held his breath. There are only 30 seconds left. 15 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When the timer reached 1, Nai Hua's mecha flew up almost immediately, and the 2 laser cannons on the left and right had already fired at the red flames of doom. All the audience were shocked, they never expected him to be so fierce. Because the referee kept communicating with him, the protective shield of the entire arena was not ready yet. At that moment, a huge wave of heat energy hit, scorching the cheeks of everyone in the stands. The referee couldn't care less about communicating with the wind blade and hurriedly reinforced the protective shield. Nai Hua knew that it would take 3 minutes for the Doomsday Red Flame to activate. And now, only 1 minute has passed. In the next 2 minutes, it would be best if he could directly destroy the Doomsday Red Flame. But even if he only hits it until half of its health is left, his advantage will be highlighted. In the crispy state, many killing moves cannot be used. By then, this stupid thing will definitely not be his match. Therefore, Nai did not hesitate to implement the decision discussed with his father last night to launch a blitzkrieg. Boom, 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 Lu Pao went out. All hits. How else to say that Doomsday Red Flame has thick blood? After so many blows, the big guy didn't seem to have suffered much damage. Nai took advantage of his Wind Blade's cannon fire to cool down and circled behind Doomsday Red Flame, preparing to launch a second round of attacks. Tao Ran had no choice. This guy is slow to start. She tried her best. But she turned on the speaker anyway. Although the mecha has not started yet, many basic equipment are still available. Nai, you are really a coward. You just don't dare to confront me head-on, do you? She shouted directly. The sound passed through the loudspeaker and directly echoed throughout the entire venue. Your Nai family has been completely embarrassed by you. Is this what your father taught you? Nai just pretended not to hear and fired a second round of artillery fire. This time, his artillery was more intensive, firing 10 times in one breath. I checked the time and saw that only 30 seconds had passed. The big guy on the opposite side still has at least a minute and a half to fully activate. Continue. Nai changed his position and aimed a fancy strike at Doomsday Red Flame from high altitude. He proudly showed off various skills in the air. The wind blade seemed to be alive with him, making beautiful gestures one after another. Although the audience in the stands and in front of the live broadcast looked down upon Naihua's obvious petty attack, they had to say that his reputation was not in vain these years, and his strength was still extraordinary. Just that dazzling flight is already at the level of computer effects. However, this is taking advantage of others' danger. After all, this is a one-on-one confrontation, right? The opponent hasn't started yet. No matter how powerful this one-sided attack is, it's still too watery. Although soldiers are not afraid of deception, this is a military exercise after all. Being so eager for quick success and instant benefit does somewhat echo Baofu's scolding yesterday. Nai showed off his personal skills while holding on to time. The opponent is now a fixed target, so basically all the firepower fired by his mecha hits the opponent. He estimated the firepower value and calculated the resistance ability of Doomsday Red Flame. It's just a pity that he didn't study this big thing last night and couldn't remember where the crispiest part of Doomsday Red Flame is, otherwise he could go further and get twice the result with half the effort. In order to make himself look more powerful and eye-catching, Nai still hovered above the red flames of doom. Dense shells rained down, and he focused on the stupid guy below. This is already the fourth round. After another attack ended, the red armor on Doomsday Xian's head had been blasted into black armor, and there were some signs of smoke on his shoulders. Nai was happy. In this state, I'm afraid I can't even keep 5 lights. But he still has 1 minute. Will this stupid guy be blown into a honeycomb by the time he activates it? No, he can't just pretend that he can't win without force. He just left it with a layer of crispy skin, walked it for a while, played with it a little bit, and finally killed it. Finally, he can give an explanation to his father, the 3rd Military Academy and the 8th Army. Just thinking about it makes me excited. The 3rd round is a melee for the top 5. Just relying on his popularity, if he formed an alliance first and then attacked, he would have no problem finishing in the top 3. This victory went smoothly and the mental loss will not be too great. In the afternoon finals, he still has a huge advantage. Although there were many difficulties this time, there was finally no danger. After passing this level, I think it won't be a big problem to win the Rookie King. At this time, the referee came again and asked to connect to the Nai mecha. The referee received a notice from the rostrum and asked Nihua to give the opponent some leeway. Everyone could see that if Doomsday Xian continued to be beaten like this, he would be KO before he even started. However, Nihua once again turned a blind eye to the referee's signal. With a snort, he ushered in the cooling time for a new round of artillery. The wind blade swirled above the red flames of doom at high speed. He regarded this area as a stage, hoping that he could use his performance to make up for the regrets he had caused to everyone. The reason why his mecha is called Wind Blade is not only because of its high speed, but also because it has spiral blades with a radius of 3 meters on both waists. It is as powerful as a cannon at super high speeds and can attack energy in close combat. Keep it, the effect is amazing. At this moment, taking advantage of the cooling time, Nihua planned to show everyone how cool his mecha was under his control. He worked hard and began to think about his next attack. But he never expected that suddenly, his mecha trembled violently, and there was a sudden burst of fire in front of his eyes, and then his entire mecha flew out. To be precise, he was kicked out. What happened? He didn't have time to think about it. The moment he flew out, he heard a female voice curse, "Unlucky." His wind blade kept rolling in the air like a ball. What a shockwave this must be. Nihua quickly mobilized his mental power to stabilize the mecha, but his heart was shaking. Why? It takes 3 minutes to activate the Doomsday Red Flame, and only 2 minutes and 10 seconds have passed now. How did she do it? How frustrating is it when a monkey jumps up and down above your head? It was Chaoran just now. The 3-minute startup is the normal time. Now, she is integrated with the mecha. Every part and joint of the mecha is under her control. Is it difficult to shorten the startup time of each place? She almost gained 55 seconds. So 5 seconds ago, her mecha's eyes and body lights were on, but Nihua, who was playing tricks above, was busy playing with his blade and didn't notice it. When Chaoran looked at the fully lit operating table, it clearly showed that there were only 4 lights left on her chest, that is, her health points. She is not happy. She hasn't hit her yet. This is too annoying. The guy above her head doesn't respect martial ethics, so why should she insist on morality? As soon as the energy gathered, her feet warmed up, she stretched out her body, and stretched out her arms, her doomsday red flames shot straight into the sky, and then she struck with all her strength with her fire-breathing fist. The monkey who was still performing above did not react, but having been hit, it flew out like a ball. Next, it's her home court. After one blow, she flew out with her doomsday red flame. Nihua was frightened. What kind of pervert is this woman? She cheated. She must have cheated again. Otherwise this wouldn't happen. Even if she was lucky enough to shorten the activation time, how could she attack at the moment of activation without accumulating energy? What kind of explosive power, physical and mental strength is this? Can he not be afraid? At that moment, the disadvantage of his light armor was revealed, and one of the lights on his chest had gone out. He also saw that there were only 4 lights left in the doomsday red flame on the opposite side. It was clear that he had a clear advantage, but he didn't feel that he really had any advantage. He hadn't been able to stabilize the wind blade here, but what was terrifying was that he saw the mecha on the opposite side coming at high speed with the force of destroying the world. "I'll wipe it," he finally said loudly. As promised, what about the clumsy and stupid doomsday red flame? This sensitivity isn't much worse than my own light armor, right? Nihua hurriedly aimed and fired the cannon, but due to his imbalance, he missed the target. Well, he definitely didn't admit that the other party avoided it. He missed, but the opponent's blow had already arrived. The wind blade was hit, and Nihua lost another lamp. Nihua quickly changed direction to escape. But he also found that his mecha was falling completely uncontrollably. Through the monitor, he saw the doomsday red flame above his head, stepping on the shoulder of his wind blade, using its huge weight to press the wind blade down. Nai Hua quickly activated the blade and tried to cut from bottom to top. Unfortunately, no matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't touch the doomsday red flames above. That damn thing, in order to avoid the blade, now stepped on his head with both feet instead of stepping on his shoulders. Doomsday red flame had fire-breathing equipment at its feet. Nai Hua in the control room saw only a flame in front of his eyes, and then felt a sharp pain above his head. It hurts like crazy. He doesn't need to call up the external picture, but he also knows that after this round, his wind blade will no longer be handsome at all, and most of the parts from the head to the bottom will no longer be dazzling silver, but will be grey and dirty. He felt his face was provoked. At this moment, he began to curse that the wind blade was useless. He completely forgot how much effort he and his dad put into getting the light armor. Because of its light weight, under the crushing force of heavy armor, even if he increased the power to the highest level, the effect would be minimal. After finally withstanding this round of firepower from the opponent, he thought that he could finally take a breather during the opponent's cooling time, but Nai Hua's heart was hit hard again. That Baofu was stepping on his head just a second ago, and when he was about to land, he suddenly turned around the huge body of Doomsday Qian, and then kicked the back knee of his wind blade with a flying kick. Then, he knelt down. Really kneeling. But Baofu, she even somersaulted over him. The moment he knelt down, she happened to stand directly in front of him and accepted his kneeling. Nai Hua had a heart attack. I have to say that this woman pays more attention to acting and pursues performance than him. Damn it! At this time, Nai Hua didn't have time to think about it. Why did Qi Yanggong of Doomsday just use the least effective fire attack on him when he had such a good opportunity and had so many powerful weapons and equipment? In order to accept his kneeling, she even released her control over him. And gave him a chance to fight back in vain? 2 chapters in 1. This chapter is almost finished. This article is a bit long. Maybe it's a problem left over from writing long novels in the past. During the writing process, I always like to pause here and leave a stroke there. By the end, I will have more and more plots to say. Part of the plot has been cut off. But it's still over 100 chapters. Sorry, don't scold me, I'll be shorter in the future. Love you guys. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 665. At this moment, everyone in the stands and on the Star Network were dumbfounded. Looking at the time, it was clear that less than a minute had passed since Doomsday Red Flame was targeted and attacked to its strong counterattack. Many people didn't even see clearly that all this happened. Fortunately, the split screen in front of them is still playing back at 0.5x speed. They all have countless whys on their minds. Why can the synchronization rate reach 100%? Why can startup time be shortened? Why can heavy armor be controlled to be more flexible than light armor? How do you make a big guy like Doomsday Red Flame behave exactly like a human being, even with his fingertip movements and facial expressions? Many people on the podium could not sit still, and the head of state also stretched his neck. It's incredible. But when they looked at Kona, Wizen, and others, they discovered that the faces of these people from the first military academy remained unchanged and calm. These old guys have come prepared for a long time. They all remembered that Baofu had said loudly that she was a genius. Now, who dares to say that she is not? As soon as Nai Hua got rid of the restraint, he hit Baofu with a fierce blow. But what surprised him was that Baofu didn't even try to hide, but with his thick skin and thick blood, he came right up against the cannon. Nai Hua was startled when he saw the huge mecha had passed through the gunfire and arrived in front of him, and then kicked him hard on the forehead with the wind blade. What kind of movement is this? That's not all, there was a series of combination kicks after the flying kick, which pushed him horizontally for hundreds of meters without stopping. The power was too strong, and Nai could only use the blade to support the ground. The spinning long knife hit the ground hard, and for a moment, sparks flew everywhere. Nai has just finished firing, and now the firepower needs to cool down for 5 seconds. He can only defend and dodge. 3 of the lights on Nai's chest have gone out, and 2 of the red lights that were originally on the console have also gone out. They were the lights for his 3-meter radius blade. Damn it! The blade on his left side actually stopped responding. It was made when it was just smashed on the ground. Nai was shocked again. What the hell? How much kinetic energy does it take to make his alloy knife malfunction? Nai tried his best to wake himself up, quickly pushed up his mental strength, and rushed out at high speed. Regardless of how the Doomsday Red Flame performs so many difficult movements, the amount of physical and mental energy it consumes is beyond what ordinary people can bear. Nai decided to fight a war of attrition with Baofu. His light armor slowly rubbed against her. He wanted to see how long Baofu could hold on. Nai raised his speed to the highest level, but he still underestimated Baofu. The entire competition range is only a few kilometers in radius. No matter how fast his light armor is, after being chased and intercepted by the huge Doomsday Red Flame, the space he can use is pitifully small. Only 3 minutes later, he completely understood what Baofu was doing. After he knelt down, she never turned on her fire attack system. She used either fists or legs. Have you ever seen swatting flies or mosquitoes? Nai sadly discovered that he was that fly and that mosquito. And Baofu was the bully who drove him, chased him, teased him, slapped him, laughed at him, toyed with him, but did not intend to directly slap him to death. Now Nai Waxen, it turns out that there are really people in the world who are so good at using mechas. The rough mecha on the opposite side is no longer bulky. Not only is it flexible, it also has extremely weird and fast moves and movements. It has a set of tricks. Even though it is dexterous, the closet strikes are so dense that it is dizzying. Therefore, even if Nai has raised his mental power to the highest level, he still cannot escape. Doomsday Red Flame directly grabbed the wind blade several times, but Taoran just dragged him and smashed him to the ground, stepped on him, or threw him away. Baofu hit Nai almost 6 times out of 10. But when Nai attacked Baofu, he could only succeed with sporadic artillery fire. Another 3 minutes passed, and Nai collapsed. He was always at a disadvantage. Now his back was completely stuck to the protective suit, and he was covered in cold sweat. Not only because he was anxious to get angry, but also because every thrilling dodge and attack was consuming his physical energy. In addition, due to excessive mental loss and the fact that the wind blade was struck head-on by the Doomsday Red Flame several times, he had a severe headache at the moment. However, the Doomsday Red Flame opposite him still showed no sign of fatigue. This almost declared that his plan to wear down the opponent's physical and mental strength was ruined. Although he didn't want to admit it, his fear was indeed growing. Because it was a competition, some highly destructive ammunition was not given to them, but based on his efficiency of only hitting once in a while, how could he win? And his head hurt so much that he probably couldn't hold on for much longer. He must lose. He looked at his remaining lamps in disappointment. He was almost ready to lose. What? He had a moment of despair. He clearly remembered that he had only had 3 lights extinguished before. But after all this time, he still has 7 lights? In other words, after being kicked, beaten, and stepped on by the Doomsday Red Flame, his lamp has not moved yet? He still has 70% of his health tank. So that woman did it on purpose. This is the reason why she never attacks with weapons, she is humiliating herself in this way. For a mecha, the damage caused by being thrown, kicked, and kicked 10 times is not as powerful as a single shot of artillery fire. So she deliberately extended the time indefinitely to keep herself in a state of being teased by her. She is telling everyone that she can defeat him without using weapons. She was slowly torturing him, breaking him mentally. She just didn't want to give him a clean ending. She just wants to wear him down bit by bit until he is completely defeated. How could there be such a vicious woman in the world? Another 3 minutes passed, and Nai Hua was exhausted. But he looked at his lamp and it finally moved. Ken. There are 6 more. There are 6 of them. It's never over. If this continues, when will it be finished? Doomsday Red Flame still didn't use her weapon. Nai Hua couldn't help it anymore and turned on the loudspeaker to Baofu. Isn't it the red flame of Doomsday? Where is your red flame? Tao Ran chuckled, you are still called Windblade. But your speed is not as fast as Feng, and your firepower is not sharp enough. You will only run away, so you might as well change your name to Rat Generation. If you have the ability, take out your red flame and shine it. Don't worry. When you reach the end, I will give you the red flame. You. Nai Hua was very depressed. What kind of competition is it if you don't show your weapons? I can fight however I want, do you care? While talking, Tao Ran punched out with a combination of punches. Tao Ran was also quite tired. But she did not use the spiritual energy stored in her body to make up for her weakened physical strength. She knew that if it were Tangzu, she would definitely hope to defeat Nai Hua with her true strength. So, what's the point of cheating? It didn't matter, Tangzu was still a genius, still the one who could crush Nai Hua. The red flame of doom requires too much physical energy, so in order to save energy, Tao Ran has turned off all useless fire systems. In this way, she feels much more relaxed. SS's mental power was so much ahead of Nai Hua's, like a net, it could catch Nai Hua's every move. With Tao Ran's skills, Nai Hua was naturally manipulated. Tao Ran felt that Nai Hua's speed was decreasing visibly, and knew that he was very tired. So she also slowed down appropriately. Give him some hope and then give him a slap in the face. Give him a little sweetness, and then give him a slap in the face. Give him a way to escape, and then let him hit a dead end. If it happens once or twice, it can be tolerated. But if it was like this every time, Nai Hua would probably go crazy or collapse. Haha, even ordinary viewers watching the live broadcast on Scene Wang understand it. How many people fell down laughing while holding their bellies? In the past, Nai Hua was despicable, not letting people get away, and taking advantage of people's dangers to shamelessly snatch wins. Now it's the other way around. They don't fight back, they just play tricks on you, and they just want you to play cat and mouse tricks. What can you do? Don't you deserve it? How many cats catch mice just to eat them? Isn't it just for fun? How interesting. Many people are thinking of Baofu's harsh words yesterday when he failed to get an apology from Nai Hua. She said that in today's competition, she would not be polite or considerate of face, and she would deal with Nai Hua ruthlessly. She actually means what she says. Combining everything yesterday, Baofu was slandered first, had no apology later, and was even bullied today when he didn't activate the mecha. The reviews on Starnet were almost one-sided, with more than 90% of netizens supporting Baofu. This time, Baofu's name was really like thunder, resounding throughout the stars. Another 5 minutes passed, and God knows how Nai Hua survived. He hit Baofu 3 times. Therefore, there are only 3 lamps left on Qian's chest at Doomsday. But he didn't have the ability to have another 3 rounds of tug-of-war that lasted as long as he did. He was wet all over, as if he had been fished out of the water. His mental strength couldn't keep up. God knows how difficult it is to find a way to avoid the intensive claws of the big thing on the opposite side. Nai Hua felt a pain in his head like a needle pricking his head. But he still has 5 lights? He wanted to give up. So now his wind blade is like a broken ball, being beaten back and forth by the red flames of doom that stand in mid-air. The battle has almost become a one-man show. The wind blade was completely reduced to a toy. Give me a good time. Nai Hua couldn't bear it anymore and spoke again. If she had used fire power, this contest would have been over long ago. If your mecha is defeated by the opponent's super powerful artillery, then the defeat will be more beautiful. Now what the hell? So, you gave up? Tao Ran's voice was high. Give up? Nai Hua really wanted to. But he found it impossible to answer. He is a soldier admits defeat? I would rather die in battle than surrender. That would make people laugh to death. He now represents not only himself, but also the 3rd Military Academy and the 8th Army, and his father, the general. There are so many people behind him, so many reputable teachers and supporters. Once he admits defeat, who will still criticize him in the future? How will Dad get back together in the future? Yesterday, rumors spread on the internet because of this woman's nonsense. After he came today, many people who originally gathered around him dispersed. Even the people from the 5th Military Academy who had formed an alliance ignored him. So the consequences of admitting defeat will be worse. Especially this woman, her cheerful voice sounded too harsh. How could she get what she wanted? You're dreaming. Even if I fight to the death, I won't admit defeat, Nai Hua said resolutely in an attempt to win favor with a wave of supporters. Well said. Then we will fight until the end. Tao Ran kicked out again, and the long blade on Nai Hua's other side that had long been unable to swing finally failed. He's going crazy. Really, not only was he unable to fight, he was also unable to escape. He was just thinking about sending a private message to Baofu and negotiating terms with her, but the red flame of Doomsday took advantage of his trance and kicked him straight into the center of the wind blade. Nai Hua did not study the red flame of doom, but Tao Ran had already had a thorough understanding of the types of mechas that Nai Hua might choose. Nai Hua's world was spinning for a while. The crispy mecha was kicked, and many parts of it were deflected and malfunctioned. In his control room, several warning sounds had sounded. He didn't know for a moment whether he should quickly let the mecha automatically repair the damaged parts, or let it go and end this terrible battle as soon as possible. The pain in Nai Hua's head became more obvious. He could barely control the mecha anymore. How could Tao Ran be so polite? He just kicked the wind blade like a ball and punched it like a sandbag. Many parts of the wind blade were knocked off by her, and the alloy fell to the ground. Nai Hua didn't know what to do and pressed the protest button at the referee. But the referee didn't move. Because Baofu did not violate the rules. Nai Hua was so angry that he roared one last time at Baofu. Baofu, are you educated? Are you damaging the mecha on purpose? Do you despise the Central Army or look down on our 3rd Military Academy? Don't double standard when you speak. Doomsday Red Flame punched the other wind blade, which was swinging out of control, and knocked it to the ground. It's not what you said. Everything is according to the rules. The rules say that you must use fire power to attack. The rules only say that one party must have all the lights out or admit defeat to be considered a loser. Now your lights are not out, and you don't admit defeat. I haven't defeated you either, so you still have the nerve to scold me? Why didn't you mention the humiliation when I didn't activate it and turned a blind eye to the referee? Why not mention torture when bombs are raining down on the red flames of doom? Didn't you despise the 1st Military Academy at that time? Contempt the referee? Contempt the Central Military Army? Tao Ran said and punched out again. Several pieces of scrap metal fell on Feng Ren's body again. Come to think of it, you still have 4 lights, but I only have 3. Your advantage is obvious, why don't you get up and fight me quickly? You are so afraid of battle and so embarrassing, aren't you more interested in the 3rd Military Academy? Humiliation. Tao Ran struck out with a bang, and Nai Hua was even too angry to speak. Tao Ran sent a message directly to the referee and the podium simultaneously, saying that she would pay for the repair of the wind blade that she had broken. If it doesn't work out, she just has to pay for herself. Anyway, I have money. After that, Nai Hua didn't even have the chance to apologize or admit defeat. Because Cao Ran didn't give him a chance to speak at all. A burst of attacks. She was practically dismantling the mecha. As mentioned before, when Nai Hua had only the last light left, she activated her weapon and gave him a head-on shot, establishing what the red flames of doom were. The other 8 students who were watching the battle and waiting to get on the mecha were all feeling chills all over their bodies. They asked themselves, should they not choose light armor? Is the wind blade a little unlucky? Can I still change my mecha now? They don't have to be too sad if they lose this round, that way they won't have to meet this monster woman in the next round, right? As the old saying goes, don't offend women. If we advance to the next round, do we want to join an alliance? But, this woman is very vindictive. Will she be as miserable as Nai Hua? 2 chapters in 1. Thank you all for your votes. Thanks to book friends whose tail numbers are 22,576, Reset Lai Huo Wivua, Ling Long Baizai, and Penguin Bookstore Baby. Love you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 666. A bombardment came. Nai Hua's eyes turned red, the alarm sounded, and his last light finally went out. The impact was too great and his mental strength was traumatized. His consciousness could no longer hold on, and he fell down like a mecha wind blade. Well, dizzy. He was honored to be the first person in the history of the Alliance Military Academy competition to fall down due to exhaustion of mental power during a mecha confrontation in the past 30 years. He was carried out of the control room. With many shots, he has become famous all over the world. Just in another embarrassing way. Nai Hua was given 2 potions before he faintly woke up. The first thing he did when he woke up was to protest and complain with support. Baofu and the First Military Academy must have cheated, Nai Hua said angrily at the rostrum. Otherwise, no one would be able to achieve this transcendent ability. The head of state smiled slightly. Do you know how she cheated? Although I don't know, as long as I check her, the truth will come to light. Perhaps she has taken some illegal drugs that stimulate her mental power, or is there something wrong with this mecha? Complaints must have evidence, not just words. This time, it was the referee who spoke. Who do you think the Central Army is? The mecha has just been tested before the game, and there was a urine test compared to everyone else. This is completely unfounded speculation. I am the victim, I know best. I can clearly feel that there is something wrong with this Baofu. You are the victim and you can testify, Cao Ran strode over. Then I am also a victim. Yesterday you slandered me as not Baofu, and today you said I cheated. Can I also file a complaint against you? Do you have ulterior motives against me? Are you excluding dissidents from me? Or should I sue you for multiple times? Are you slandering me in public? When Nai Hua saw Cao Ran, his face trembled. He wanted to go up and strangle her to death. There were too many weird things just now. It's impossible to achieve 100% synchronization rate and compress the time to start the mecha. If you can have SS mentally, I'll be convinced. Nai Hua didn't believe it. The Alliance has not produced an SS level talent in 20 years. He didn't believe that the First Military Academy would hide such a talent. Can we lift her out to get more resources? Could she not reveal that she got more support? Actually, everyone at the rostrum was also curious about Cao Ran's mental power. So they all looked at Cao Ran and the First Military Academy guys. Test it, Kona's expression did not change. Tao Ran also nodded. The live competition continues. Tao Ran, on the other hand, had just finished the competition and was mentally exhausted. After drinking a tonic, he got 2/4 of an hour's rest. In the closed lounge, he grasped the spirit stone and practiced a circle with the soul refining method. The mental power that was enough to cope with the test came back immediately. So, when the test results came out, the podium was in chaos. When the two mechas were fighting vigorously on the field, they turned around and found that several big bosses were missing from the rostrum. 2 people. Even their own principal is missing? Well, they all left. An SS-level mental powerhouse, the first super genius to appear in the past 20 years, who can't be excited? Although they had guessed it during the competition, the big guys, including the current head of state, still wanted to witness it. Nai Hua didn't believe it even more. He has pretty good qualifications, and it took him so many years and so many tricks to barely step into the door of S-level mental power. He knows how hard it is. He couldn't accept it. Seeing the data almost drove him crazy. Nai Hua, since he has such high mental power, why is it still S on Baofu's file? Aren't you cheating? Kona's role is there. The old man comes forward. As you all know, it is common for students' grades to improve after entering a military academy. Therefore, the military academy's practice is to adjust the files only after the end of the school year. The old man's hand passed over the optical brain and retrieved 4 pieces of data. When Baofu entered school, her mental power was indeed S-. She was tested at that time. The information is here. But it only took her 1 month after entering the school to improve her mental strength to S, and soon she reached S+. She was very impressive. During a crisis simulation operation, I finally made a breakthrough and brought my mental power to the SS. Nai Hua's head shook like a rattle. You mean, her mental power went from S to SS in less than a year? He couldn't accept it even more. Such a proud man, why not him? The weak Nai Hua sat down, his head hurting like needles again. Yes, Kona did not hesitate. After discovering that Baofu has extraordinary talents, the school team specially tailored an improvement plan for her, and 5 instructors coached her together. So Baofu can be said to have made rapid progress. Kona held his head up proudly. Not only was he proud of Baofu, but he also knew that after these words spread, the first military academy, which had a poor student base in the next few decades, would surely usher in a new glory. Baofu's achievements can be said to be a huge leap forward. He was promoted at the first military academy. For this reason, many students with mental difficulties will come to the first military academy. And after hearing that the first military academy will also develop professional improvement plans for talented students, more strong people will definitely come here. In fact, 3 of the top 10 in this individual competition are from the first military academy. Based on this fact, people believe that the first military academy is not what it used to be. The Me Group, which had never taken sides in the past, also publicly expressed its full support, which shows that the rise of the first military academy and the first army is almost inevitable. Tao Ran stood in front of Nai Hua and looked at him condescendingly. I said, I am a genius. But this does not become the reason why you have repeatedly slandered me. Tao Ran dropped his words again just like yesterday. After this competition is over, I will formally sue Nai Hua for fabricating rumors, slandering me, and damaging my personal reputation and that of the first military academy. When the time comes, please help everyone here. A testimony. Tao Ran squinted his eyes, satisfied with the poisonous chill in Nai Hua's eyes. Her eyes swept over Dong Yu, the principal of the 3rd Military Academy. Eyes facing each other. Tao Ran's eyes made Principal Dong panic. Prosecution will not only damage Nai Hua's reputation, but the 3rd Military Academy will definitely be dragged into it, which will be very troublesome. He strode up, stood in front of Nai Hua, and ordered in a cold voice. Nai Hua, what are you still doing? Classmate Bao Fu is right? You made two baseless speculations about her, which indeed caused a lot of distress and trouble to classmate Bao. Why don't you quickly seek classmate Bao's forgiveness? This Principal Dong is obviously much more cunning. There was no mention of slander, only causing trouble and trouble. He kept winking, hoping that Nai Hua would settle the matter quickly. Rather than making this matter a big deal and spending a lot of effort to respond to this lawsuit that is bound to fail in the future, why not put this matter to death now? Nai Hua was under tremendous pressure. His father is away, and Principal Dong is his biggest supporter. As long as he wants to continue, he can't contradict the principal. He suppressed his unwillingness and said weakly to Tao Ran, I apologize to you, I'm sorry. That's it, Tao Ran smiled. This is not enough. Nai Hua lowered his head and gritted his teeth. He knew that this woman would not give up. I don't feel the sincerity. Principal Dong smiled apologetically. Not to mention his own fault, just because everyone wants to support this SS-level young man, he has to be polite. Then what does Mr. Bao think it should be? I already said what should be done yesterday. What Nai Hua wants to destroy is my reputation and my future. Since he wants to apologize, he must make it public. I want him to apologize to me in front of the media and the entire Star Network. The first military academy apologized. I want him to admit that he maliciously slandered me, that he was petty, and that he was jealous. I want him to admit that he is not as good as me, and that I am better than him. He also asked him to say that he would never make things difficult for me again, and that he would be gone wherever I was from now on. The first few sentences are already unacceptable to Nai Hua, who thinks highly of himself, and the last sentence is even more intolerable to Nai Hua. Where there is Bao Fu, there cannot be Nai Hua. So Nai Hua is not involved in the upcoming team battle? Nai Hua was not responsible for all the military activities? Will there be no quota for him in all subsequent military exercises? What's the difference between this and ending his future? How could Nai Hua agree to this in front of the head of state and principals? How could it be possible to make this promise in front of the people of Starnet? Therefore, Nai Hua held it in for a long time and could not nod. Especially when he saw Bao Fu's flamboyant and arrogant smile, his whole body was shaking with anger. If he could, he really wanted to rush forward and skin her and cramp her right now. Tao Ran smiled brightly. The plans were successful. She designed it well. This is the advantage of kicking Nai Ronghai out first. Otherwise, if that old fox Nai Ronghai was here, Nai Hua would never be in such an isolated and helpless situation, nor would he be stuck in a dead end like this. Right now, their whole family is divided. Only in this way can it be convenient to remove them one by one. Tao Ran showed his hands to Principal Dong. Unfortunately, your students are obviously unwilling to accept my suggestions. Therefore, I am not going to be lenient. I cannot wrong myself, I want to be fair to myself, and I plan to use legal means to defend myself. Seek justice for yourself, and losses. Principal Dong was busy trying to think of ways to change things, saying that Nai Hua was not in a good condition right now and should give him some time to wait. Then for your sake, I will give him time. If Nai Hua fails to apologize as I request before 12 o'clock tonight, I will initiate legal proceedings in a week. She was stunned for a moment, but she looked at Principal Dong. Classmate Bao, just tell me. As a student of the 3rd Military Academy, Nai Hua has slandered me twice. As his principal and person in charge, don't you need to give me an explanation? Dong Yu took a deep breath, and he naturally understood. The 1st Military Academy found a treasure. This Baofu is pretty good. Not only does he have extraordinary physical and mental strength, but he is also shrewd and has the ability to find opportunities. I don't know how much benefit he will bring to the First Army in the future. Nai Hua's loss was not unjust at all. Dong Yu's eyes scanned a group of big guys with different powers staring at him, just waiting for him to express his position and give an explanation. Those people didn't speak to give him face. He could only nod seriously, and then said, "Classmate Xiao Bao is right. This time it is indeed Nai Hua's fault." Later, Principal Dong made a decision to cancel Nai Hua's quota to participate in the team battle. How can this work? I don't agree, Nai Hua almost went crazy. He is the commander of the 1st Military Academy team battle. In the past 6 months, he has been studying all kinds of marching, fighting, and overall command knowledge. He has even learned the art of war, just waiting to use group battles to gain a wave of prestige and reputation. The mecha battle he led last year also won first place, and he wants to achieve greater success again. If he gets a good ranking this time, after he enters the 8th Army, he can follow the flowery road paved by his father. School director. Dongwu interrupts. You are not in good health right now. Please take a good rest first. Principal Dong glanced at everyone, but no one raised any objection. I'm tired and need to rest. Chaoran looked at Nai Hua again. Remember, you still have 15 hours to think about it. Then she left without looking back. Others also dispersed one after another. Dongyu was extremely disappointed with Nai Hua and left without looking back. Nai Hua couldn't accept it. He's going crazy. He lost and didn't even make it to the top 5 in the individual competition. He also ruined his reputation and ruined his future. Now he is even more threatened. He simply wants to cut Baofu into pieces with 1,000 knives. In a hurry, he had only one choice, to turn on his optical brain and contact his father. Chaoran was exhausted. As soon as she entered the restroom, she quickly grabbed the spirit stones and practiced to restore her strength. Kona knew that she liked to be quiet when resting and would not even eat, so after having people deliver nutritional solutions, he also asked her to guard the restroom to prevent outsiders from disturbing her. Chaoran couldn't hear what was going on outside the window. When he opened his eyes again, it was already afternoon, when the mechas were fighting to determine the new king. 5-man mecha melee. Chaoran originally thought that when his true strength was exposed, it would be a 4-on-1 situation. But luckily, there are still some variables. In the other 4 1-on-1 mecha battles just now, Chen Di, a 3rd-year senior at the 1st Military Academy, was probably inspired by her. He fought particularly bravely and performed at a super level, and even advanced to the top 5. Therefore, the firepower Chaoran had to withstand was suddenly lighter. The worst situation now is 3 against 2. 5 people can choose the mecha again. When they saw classmate Baofu walking towards the tallest and largest doomsday red flame without thinking again, the other 4 people felt a little chill on their backs. For some reason, the image of the wind blades being thrown and beaten everywhere by the red flames of doom began to appear in everyone's minds and automatically circulated, making them impossible to get rid of. Those 4 people had a tacit understanding, and they all skipped the wind blade. Too unlucky and unlucky. Even the thunder are no longer favored. If you want to win the Rookie King, you must pass Baofu's level. But facts have proven that light armor will lead to death. 5 mechas are arranged in a 5-point circle. Then it's time to sync and start again. This time, Chaoran was more concerned than before. She was afraid that if she activated the timeout again, Chen Di would be beaten by the other 3 mechas. Don't wait for her to start up, her teammates will all die. This is too much. As a result, her mental power was more concentrated than before. This time, her synchronization rate still reached 100%, which caused the audience on the podium and in front of the optical brain to sigh. As for the start-up time, this time, she compressed it to 2 minutes. Monster, the other 4 people actually have the same idea. They were all paying attention to Baofu. Her activation time of 2 minutes and 10 seconds before was already incredible, but this time it was actually reduced by 10 seconds. A little sad. Tao Ran almost completed the synchronization at the end of the 15-minute countdown. But she never expected that as soon as she opened her eyes and prepared herself for defense, she saw 4 other mechas already fighting together. They were each one-on-one, seemingly completely forgetting that this was a competition between 5 people. She was immediately left behind. 2 chapters in 1. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 667. Tao Ran enjoys his leisure time alone. Are you sure, this is a melee? Seeing the 4 people fighting lively, she didn't know whether to get involved. At this time, a message tone arrived. When I looked at the name, I saw it was from Chen Di. She was about to ask the system to play a voice, but she heard 3 more ding-ding-ding sounds, all of which were information tones. 3 more messages. One of the 4 people opposite sent her a message. Chen Di said, "Sister, please don't help me yet. I want to try and see how far I can go." The person from the 2nd Military Academy, Xiaobao, you worked too hard in the morning. You can take a break and watch the battle first. Swimeibao, we agreed to select 2 people first, and then we will enter the top 3 with you. We are one-on-one, non-aligned, fair, and just. Tao Ran. These 4 people have such a tacit understanding? Was it agreed upon before the competition? Is it because you have been practicing all this time that you just came out? Indeed. At noon, the other 3 people and the military academy behind them had discussed it. Based on Baofu SS's mental strength, super physical strength and weird tricks, they all felt that even if the 3 of them joined forces, it would be difficult to defeat Baofu. Doomsday Xian was played so smoothly by her that they didn't know how to start. They had a video meeting. The final result is, instead of losing blood and losing everyone, it is better to turn enemies into friends. In a 3-on-2 situation, it is very likely that Baofu and the others would take 1st and 2nd place. Therefore, the 3 parties decided to simply send Baofu into the top 3 as a gift to ensure that the remaining 4 people would determine the top 2 fairly. All 3 parties found it acceptable. The 3 schools asked Kona what he meant again. Chen Di nodded, and Kona accepted the favor. And when they saw that Tao Ran had shortened the activation time this time, the 3 of them were even more grateful. Fortunately, they had made arrangements in advance, otherwise, the other party was too strong, and they were born at the wrong time. Since he received the polite text message, Tao Ran had to give him some face. After waiting for more than a quarter of an hour, the 4 people over there finally finished fighting. Chen Di tried his best, but still failed. Entering the top 3 were 2 people from the 2nd Military Academy and the 6th Military Academy. Tao Ran saw that the 2 mechas even fist-bumped each other and entered the top 3. Are they so satisfied? You guys come together. Isn't it fair? No, you have been fighting for so long and are already tired. It is only fair that we fight together. How about we decide who is the 2nd best and fight you first? No, it's getting late. Let's go together. The 2 people sent private messages almost at the same time, begging to save some face. 10 minutes later, the winner was decided. There is no suspense. Tao Ran considered himself a good person, and he fulfilled their requests in a fair and just manner to the greatest extent possible. She didn't deal with them like teasing Nai Hua, but after a series of blows, she directly sent her strongest artillery fire to them. Those 2 people lost at the same time and finished 2nd together. The 2 people who came out of the cabin nodded to her to express their gratitude. And she, Baofu, got the Rookie King as she wished. The trophy is in the bag. Firstly, Tao Ran fulfilled his promise. Secondly, he attacked Nai Hua and took away what Nai Hua wanted most, and thirdly, he finally made Baofu's name resound throughout the interstellar world. She has been in this world for a year. But she never met Mr. Bai. The last time she returned to Keet, she asked her brothers, but no one went to them specifically to find out about Tao Oran, so Mr. Bai didn't show up. This time, she hoped that Baofu, the bait, could help Mr. Bai find her. In addition, this newcomer king also makes up for Tang Yu and Tang Zhu. Because Tang Yu was suppressed by Nai Ronghai in her early years and later plotted by Nai Ronghai, she lacked the honor of a newcomer king in her life and lacked a proof of her own ability. This is her regret. As for Tang Zhu, Baofu, an already high-level vest, was considered a gift from Tao Ran. Tao Ran was careful to get back what she deserved for Tang Zhu, but still left her some room. In the future, Tang Zhu can continue to be herself, or she can use the name Baofu to realize the value of her life. She can even return with Tang Yu again. To advance, there is the title of newcomer king and the relationship between the First Army and Shi Mo to retreat. There is also Zhou Heiya and his group of brothers. The worst is the worst, anyway, if you have money, where can you go? So Tao Ran was quite satisfied with the current situation. Tao Ran returned to Zhou Heiya with the trophy and bonus. She gave all the Rookie King bonus to Lao Zhou. Lao Zhou happily accepted it and took her to see the money he won. You keep it. Tao Ran changed his previous attitude towards money and actually didn't take the money back. You spent a lot of money buying a house for your brothers, so I gave you all the money. Anyway, Mi Hongyu also made a lot of money. After asking Mi Hongyu to donate 60% of the proceeds, she still had enough money for Tang Zuhua to last 3 lifetimes. Tao Ran glanced at Zhou Heiya twice more, and Lao Zhou suddenly felt a little frightened. He secretly raised his head several times and was met with Tao Ran's gentle smile. You are abnormal. How come? So you came back here just to give me money? So be it. Why does Zhou Heiya not believe it? At this moment, the Nai family mansion. Nai Hua lay on the carpet, paralyzed like a corpse. He felt hopeless. He hadn't been so paralyzed in many years, but now he had plenty of time to do so. He has been officially notified and his name has been crossed out from the team battle. Several people from the military academy came to do his work and asked him to apologize as Baofu demanded and settle the matter as soon as possible. He threw away the optical brain directly, and then drank glasses of wine. Dissy had already circled him hundreds of times, and the clicking sound of her high heels made him even more depressed. Jenny Nai has also returned from the alien world, and now she is sitting next to him and crying non-stop. The entire Nai family has become a joke to the entire alliance. Today, Dissy was pointed at and scolded by the Di family. She said she couldn't manage her husband well, raise her son well, and spent so much money on the family. But in the end, not only did her husband's good situation be lost, but her son also failed miserably, and even the Di family was laughed at. It was useless. Nai Jenny rushed back on the verge of collapse. Things that were finally sealed were exposed again. Because of Baofu's nonsense, no one believed her, and everyone felt that she had insulted Mi Hongyu. This morning she discovered that a lot of her fanfics appeared on Starnet. She almost went crazy. In addition, this morning, when Mi Hongyu faced the media cameras, he did not deny the incident, but also cursed that the Nai family are just like the same bunch of raccoons. As soon as these words came out, the Nai family was even more disgraced. Jenny Nai couldn't stay on that alien planet any longer. She was scolded everywhere, and even the Di family began to ask her what she had done to Mi Hongyu. But what Jenny Nai couldn't accept the most was that her socialite sisters all deleted her friends one by one, or blocked her directly without even giving an explanation. How could Jenny Nai endure being abandoned by the socialite circle, the aristocratic school circle, and the upper-class circle at the same time? If she were to change from a princess to Cinderella, it would be better to let her die. So after the mother and son got together, they started cursing Baofu. All three of them put the blame on Baofu and cursed her to die immediately. Jenny Nai couldn't help crying. It's in vain that I treated her as a good sister and invited her to a birthday party. She was wronged, so I apologized to her. I was clearly the victim in the last incident, but I still compensated her. I paid so much money, but she not only broke her promise, but also stabbed me. Is she a human being? Brother, aren't you very capable? You could kill Tangzu that day, but you couldn't kill Baofu. And there are some things that, once you think deeply about them, will make you very scared to think about them. Dissy thought of it. That Baofu not only made his son suffer a lot. Baofu seems to have been present in several incidents that caused her daughter's reputation to take a turn for the worse. Did the incident between my daughter and Mi Hongyu also happen at the Bao family? The weird cake incident suddenly occurred to her. It was such a weird day. Dissy shuddered, and instantly thought of Baofu entering her daughter's room after the cake was broken. At that time, she thought there was no outsider on the third floor, so she talked a lot with her daughter. If Baofu had strong mental power, he would have heard all those words. When she thought about her son saying that he suspected Baofu was Yutan yesterday, Dissy suddenly felt frightened. Even if Baofu is not Yutan, he is probably related to Yutan, right? Could it be that she came to seek revenge from the beginning? Only then did Dis realize the taste. Baofu, revenge. Revenge. Dis felt a chill. This discovery shocked both Nai Hua and Nai Jenny. No matter who Baofu is, she is here for revenge, right? So this is why she was so cruel to Nai Hua, Nai Jenny, and the Nai family. The three of them suddenly realized. We stroked it together again, and we were even more convinced. But the only person related to Yutan is Tangzu. Baofu can't be Tangzu, right? Nai Hua vowed that Tangzu was definitely dead. And she doesn't have that ability. So who could it be? Yutan has no relatives or friends, so it's impossible for anyone to help her take revenge, right? So the three of them returned to yesterday's suspicion. Baofu is Yutan? The three people reported this matter to Nai Ronghai. In fact, Nai Ronghai at this time was also studying all the video materials about Baofu's game. He carefully considered Baofu's shooting skills and confirmed that she was highly similar to Yutan's method of dividing mental power into two parts. In the final mecha battle, Baofu also used similar methods when he went 1-on-2. Let's look at Baofu's extraordinary and strange movement skills in the mecha battle. Could it be that he is also a skill passed down from the ancestors of the Yu family? In fact, Nai Ronghai also felt that Baofu and Yutan were too similar. Now, as far as the family is concerned, is Baofu seeking justice for Yutan? Isn't that correct? Baofu, revenge. So the terrorist attack that caused him to be suspended from the military and lost his candidacy was also related to Baofu, right? So she also rescued Ji Yutan, because he was her closest relative. Otherwise, who else could have such skills? Otherwise, how come it was such a coincidence that the First Army also took action that time? It should be noted that in the end, the ones who benefited from what happened that night were the First Army and Shi Mo. Nai Ronghai was also shaking with anger. It was the first time in his life that he had been deceived so miserably. Yes, Yutan is determined to retaliate. She knew through Vincent that the Nai family had killed Tangzu, so she came to take revenge. In order to completely overthrow herself, she joined the First Army. Her revenge was successful. From Jenny, to Dis, her son, to him, she didn't let anyone go. But Tangzu is dead, and they have only lost their reputation, future, and some wealth. Yutan will not let it go. Her revenge may have just begun. Nai Ronghai was a little panicked. I am an enemy in the open and in the dark, it cannot go on like this. So Dad, do you also think Baofu is Yutan? There is a 30% chance that it is. Even if not, Baofu and Yutan must be related. I think Baofu is more likely to be the illegitimate daughter Yutan had with other men over the years, Nai Ronghai said clearly. Feeling sour. Now, he is more inclined to this judgment. Otherwise, where did that Bob come from? He just looked up Bob's information. That's a very rich businessman. If a man has nothing to do with a woman, why would he leave his hometown and follow her around? They bought a lot of properties, all paid for by Bob. He asked around, and they all said that Bob doted on Baofu. As long as Baofu asked, he would almost unconditionally agree. Moreover, all the money Baofu spent was given by Bob. So this Bob must be related to Baofu. Nai Ronghai's people just reported to him that Baofu went home to see Bob as soon as he won the Rookie of the Year title. Bob took the trophy and kissed him several times, and Baofu had a dinner at home. Bob also went to the yard to barbecue for her. It was said that before Baofu got in the car and went back to school, he was still acting coquettishly with Bob at the door. Bob watched her leave, feeling silly for a long time. Then he took out an envelope from his pocket and counted the check inside. Nai Ronghai's people observed that judging from the logo on the envelope, it should be the Rookie King's bonus. Baofu, she gave all the winnings to Bob. The two are very close. Therefore, Nai Ronghai had his own judgment, Bob was the man Yutan came to find later. Baofu should be their daughter. Baofu's bone age test only said that he was around 20, and the range of 18 to 22 should be considered. That's right. Baofu's high mental power was inherited from her mother, and the physical and mental skills were probably taught by Yutan. She came to avenge her sister and rescue her aunt. Dad. No matter who Baofu is, we have to kill him, Nai Hua and Nai Jenny shouted almost at the same time. Nai Hua did not want to issue an apology statement on seeing Wang, and did not want his future to be ruined. Kill her and no one will stand in my way. Jenny Nai didn't want to be frightened, because the thing that didn't happen would always be made fun of. Kill her, and no one will mention the surveillance and our transfers again. Then I can regain my life. Kill her. No matter if she is Yutan himself, Yutan's daughter, or someone from Yutan. If she dares to touch my children, she should die. Nai Ronghai was actually thinking, Baofu must be killed. If she doesn't die, this revenge will never end. She will definitely come out from time to time like a mouse in the gutter. This is a tough opponent for a mental SS. If she doesn't take care of it soon, she will become the treasure of the first military academy and the first army, as she has already won the Rookie King title. It will only get harder and harder to deal with it later. And she will also become a powerful bargaining chip in the Shimo election and will be heavily protected. If she succeeds in taking the throne, Baofu will be beyond the control of the Nai family. By then, with Shimo's back on her side, everyone in the Nai family and the Di family may be in trouble. Can they bear it if the head of state takes action? Kill Baofu, the arrow is on the string and must be fired. And the earlier it happens, the more advantageous it will be. Thank you all for your monthly votes, and thank you for your book Friends Tale number 22576, When Haha, Immaculate Heart, Reset Liwowu and Other Treasures, Compare Your Heart. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 668. The team battle of this military academy competition will be held in 5 days. In fact, this is the highlight of the competition. No matter how well students learn, most of them have not had the opportunity to apply what they have learned. Therefore, team battles will be as close to real battles as possible. Everyone from the 6 major military academies will be dragged to a place called Lip Star for simulated battles. There used to be a war-torn star, but now it is an abandoned star. There are semi-abandoned infrastructure and military bases, as well as various complex terrains and climates. It is a good place for actual combat exercises. The 6 major military academies prepare individually and set off separately, and then they will gather at a transit star 2 days later. There, they will all take the Central Army's starship to Lip Star. The first military academy is the transit star that we go to the day after the personal battle ends. The school attaches great importance to it, and the school leaders and many senior officials who graduated from the first military academy also accompanied him. Arriving early, they had to stay one night at the Transit Star Hotel. That night, after being separated from everyone, Taoran returned to his room. 10 minutes later, her brain lightened up. Unfamiliar number. Taoran chuckled and didn't answer. This is a pinch, seeing that she is alone now and waiting to call her. A minute later, she received a video. In the picture, her and Zhou Heiya's home was being targeted by more than a dozen light cannons. After the picture was enlarged, it was vaguely visible that Zhou Heiya was drinking with his legs crossed in the house. Another minute later, a call came. Did you see it? The voice had obviously changed its voice, and you couldn't tell whether it was male or female. Who are you? What are you going to do? My dad is just an ordinary person. If you dare to hurt him, I will never let you go. I don't care who you are, even if I chase him to the end of the world, none of you will survive. Taoran's anxiety and nervousness obviously made the other party very satisfied, and he even laughed out loud. Sure enough, the love between father and daughter is deep. From now on, you are not allowed to open the door to anyone at will, you are not allowed to contact anyone secretly, and you are not allowed to ask anyone for help. If we find anything unusual in the first military academy or the first army, or if you are from if manpower is mobilized elsewhere to cause trouble, then your father's life and your family's property, including your house, will not be saved. You dare. Don't worry. We are not unreasonable people. The main reason why we do this is to make a deal with you. As long as you nod, we will definitely not hurt your father. Say, as Taoran spoke, he had already taken out his spare optical brain to confirm one thing. You, immediately, find a way to return to the Central Star alone. The moment you set foot on the Central Star, that's when we will resolve your family's crisis. You are making such a fuss just to get me to go back. Yes. What's the reason? I can tell you the reason, because we don't want the first military academy to get the first place in the team battle. You are too much of a threat. So we can't let you participate in the team battle. As long as you give up this team battle, we will definitely not do anything to you. Your father takes action. So, are you from several other military academies? Or are you doing something to help a candidate for the head of state? It's not important. What's important is that as long as you nod, you can save your father. In fact, you have already won the Rookie King, so team battles are not that important to you, right? So you are not too much at a loss. But how can I trust you? What if you cross the river and burn the bridge? If it is not absolutely necessary, we will not cause a major accident for an ordinary person. What we seek is the result of a team battle, and we are not interested in you. So you can rest assured. Moreover, you have no other choice now. Don't hurt my dad. He is my only relative. If something happens to him, I won't let you go. Nature. Taoran heard a hint of excitement in the man's voice. Baofu, let me warn you again. You have our spies around you, so I suggest you not to act rashly. If we find any trouble, your father will not be able to see the sun tomorrow. 10 minutes later, Taoran, who had changed out of his military uniform, walked out of the room. She didn't dare to bring her luggage, put her hands in her pockets, pretended to be strolling around, and left the hotel smoothly without arousing any suspicion from anyone in the first military academy. As soon as she left the hotel, her face was full of anxiety. While warning the person in her head, she ran to the public transportation hub of the Transit Star. Nai Hua was very happy. he was finally able to accomplish something. He made inquiries in the past 2 days and confirmed that Bob and Baofu were a father and daughter who depended on each other and had a good relationship. It can be said that Bob is Baofu's only weakness. As long as he grasps this, Baofu will naturally not escape their grasp. Originally, Nai Hua planned to capture Bob directly to clean up and control Baofu, but they found that it was difficult to get close to the Bao family. After all, they are a nouveau riche. The Bao family not only has the best security system on the market, but also has security robots inside and outside to detect dangers in all directions. In addition, the Bao family also has several bodyguards, 2 of whom are sent by the Mi family. In this way, there was no way they could catch Bob quietly. They kept watch for 2 days, and old Bob was so intoxicated with pleasure that he never left the door. They can only arrange to carry out remote threats. No solution anymore. The 4 members of the Nai family discussed it all night the day before yesterday, and they all felt that Baofu must be dealt with first. Otherwise, there will be endless troubles. Therefore, Nai Ronghai handed over all the men he had raised for many years to his son. If the Bao family father and daughter have a really good relationship, their plan will definitely succeed. If there are variables, they will act accordingly. If that didn't work, they could only force their way into Bao's house and take Bob away as a form of coercion. If Bob is really Yutan's husband, maybe he can catch all of Yutan too. But if you break in by force, the price may be a bit high. They had to sacrifice a few brothers. Fortunately, everything went smoothly. Nai Hua happily sent Baofu's furious look to Dissy and Jenny. There are no public starships this night. In order to rush for time, Taoran could only spend money to rent a small starship to return to the central star. 20 minutes later, the starship she was on left the transit star. And after she took a photo of herself sitting alone in a starship and gave it to the mysterious person on the other side also gave her feedback and took away the 2 cannons aimed at Lao Zhou. Half an hour later, the starship suddenly slowed down. What was supposed to come has finally come. In the dark space, directly ahead, a large starship is approaching quickly. In order not to collide, Taoran and his starship quickly slowed down. On the signal screen captured by the starship telescope, there is a large skull on the hull of the starship ahead, an interstellar pirate. Taoran's expression darkened and then flashed with excitement. Repeat the same trick. Still under the guise of an interstellar pirate. That's pretty good. A minute later, dozens of small combat starships surrounded Taoran's starship. The starship captain quickly surrenders, saying he knows nothing. Then he followed the signal from the pirate opposite, opened the hatch, and let the opponent's aircraft dock. 5 minutes later, 6 people wearing protective armor entered the cabin where Taoran was sitting with laser guns in hand. What are you going to do? I have no money. Taoran was a little scared. After laughing twice, I saw a man in white armor, taking 2 steps forward from the surrounding 6 people, and opened his mask. Baofu, you didn't expect that, did you? It's me. Nai Hua was proud and arrogant. You fell into my hands after all. Who are you? Taoran looked confused, which made Nai Hua's self-esteem crushed and he was instantly discouraged. What the hell? Dead woman. Nai Hua was furious. How dare you be so arrogant? You little bitch. Taoran suddenly realized, oh, my defeated general, Nai Hua. Is it you? The son of your dignified admiral actually colluded with the interstellar bugs. How could I recognize you? You are here to repay the man who was treated like garbage by me. Is the revenge coming? Taoran chuckled. You can't afford to lose, it's really rubbish. How dare you even face death? Are you afraid of me? Taoran interrupted him. Why are you surrounded by them like this and dressed like this? I am unarmed now, and you are still afraid of me? You really are a rat. Nai Hua was so angry that he had a heart attack. If Dad hadn't demanded that this woman be captured alive and use her as bait to capture the Uton sisters later, he wouldn't have said a word of nonsense, and he would have had this woman and the starship blown to pieces. If you dare to talk nonsense again, I will blast you and your father to pieces. That's all you can do. If you wanted to bomb, you would have bombed already. Tao Ran understood Nai Hua's mentality and captured him alive without making any noise, so as not to leave any clues or trouble. Therefore, Nai Hua would never use force unless absolutely necessary. It was only after she figured this out that she dared to confront him. Somebody come. Nai Hua took a step back and signaled to everyone. He was prepared. It's not far from the transit star and the central star, so it's best to avoid making any noise. The woman had high mental and physical strength and was difficult to capture alive, so what he prepared this time was an electric hunting net. Give it to me. Just as Nai Hua was about to issue an order, he saw Bao Fu on the other side raise his chin and signal to him. Even though his mental strength had been damaged a few days ago, he felt something was wrong now. When he turned around, he saw several guns pointing at him behind him. Damn it! Bao Fu is not the only one in this starship. Someone else was there from the beginning. Be cheated. Nai Hua was just about to call his companions outside the starship, but there was already the sound of bombing outside. Through the star cabin glass, he could see that a firefight had begun outside, and there were even mechas flying around. Mecha. He didn't bring a mecha. Then a cry for help came from his light brain, and his star captain said that there were starships in front and behind. The opponent had more people, and the opponent's weapons and aircraft were better than theirs. It seemed to be the military. Not the military? If it wasn't the military, where did the mecha come from? You bitch, Nai Hua finally understood. A good way to lure the snake out of the hole, please put it in the urn. No wonder he is so calm, it turns out that he has been waiting for him for a long time. Nai Hua gritted his teeth. Have you forgotten that your father is still in my hands? Tao Ran spread his hands. Stop worrying about other people, why not just think about yourself? Surrender quickly, and I will give you a good death. Otherwise. There was a continuous sound of bombing outside. Bao Fu, let me say it again, as long as I give the order, your father and your family will be gone. Oh, Nai Hua was depressed. He observed Bao Fu carefully. She wasn't pretending, she really didn't care. Why? There must be something missing. Did they miscalculate the relationship between their father and daughter? Nai Hua was so depressed that he wanted to die. Outside, the aircraft he brought were being disconnected from his optical brain and being controlled one by one. He knows that he has failed. The people around Nai Hua also panicked, and their guns trembled at Tao Ran. Put down your guns, and I can give you a way to live, Tao Ran smiled and said to those people, but if you help Zhou to endure the torture to the end, you will have no choice but to die. On the contrary, if you abandon the secret and help me capture Nai Hua alive, I can now let you go. Don't listen to her. Kill her for me. Kill her for me. Nai Hua went crazy. He picked up his gun and fired at Tao Ran. At the same time, he rushed to the central star of his brain and ordered, "Give me Bob this layer. It's going to explode." In the next minute, there was the sound of shooting from various weapons and the sound of various explosions. Goodbye Nai Hua, he had been subdued to the ground and his body was covered with a power grid. Nai Hua was angry. He had just fired at least 100 shots at the woman. But the woman didn't move. With a wave of her hand, 2 large light shields blocked her body, forming a protection in front of her. She was already prepared. No wonder she didn't move and stayed where she was. Oh shit! Where did he make the mistake? When Nai Hua was shooting, the guns behind him no longer showed mercy and started shooting at him. Even though he was wearing the best armor, the momentum of those bullets was still too great. knocking him to the ground. At that time, the people led by Wu Yu had already stepped forward to fight with Nai Hua's people. After Nai Hua's people judged that there was no way out for their leader, they had only one idea: to escape. But where else could they escape? This circle was blocked, and they fell directly into the hands of the First Army. Tao Ran personally rushed to deal with Nai Hua after Nai Hua fell to the ground. Nai Hua's hands and feet were severed by her on the spot, and he was also surrounded by the power grid he brought. But he still laughed. Baofu, do you think you won? Your father is dead too. In his optical brain image, the beautiful villa had been blown to pieces, and the fire was burning. You killed your father. You will live with guilt for the rest of your life. Tao Ran stepped on Nai Hua's forehead. I told you, you should worry more about yourself. I can't die. I am the son of an admiral. I have military merit. This time I was coerced by interstellar pirates. I am not guilty. My father will help me. He laughed. The most I can do is to be kicked out of the military academy, and the most I can be imprisoned for a few years. When I come out, I will still be a good man. Take me away. Hand me over to the military. I'm not afraid. But I'm warning you, don't touch me, hurt me. My dad will be here soon, and if I am found injured, you will all be judged. Tao Ran slapped him directly. I'm going to beat you. You go and sue me. Besides, who told you that I'm going to hand you over to the military? The people here are all people she trusts. No one will talk nonsense. I won't take you back to Central Star. I will take you to a good place. Nai Hua looked at Baofu's sinister eyes and shuddered several times. 2 chapters in 1. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 669. Nai Hua originally didn't believe what Baofu said. But he watched helplessly as Baofu injected him with some kind of medicine, then was put into a cage. Then an iron box was put on the outside of the cage, and then he was transferred to a starship. He maximized his mental power, and then vaguely heard Wu Yu saying to Baofu, "Go ahead. I will deal with the aftermath here. Remember to rush back to Lip Star within 3 days, and you have to participate in the team battle." Only then did Nai Hua know that what Baofu said was true. He is being sent away. The first military academy is so brave. Actually hiding it from the truth? Why not hand him over to the military? How dare you hide him secretly? Nai Hua started to curse, but then he realized that even if he raised his voice to the highest level, he could only make a hoarse sound. His body was also very weak and he couldn't exert any strength at all. He probably knew that there was something wrong with the medicine that the woman had just injected into herself. Bitch! Bitch! He felt the starship take off again. He was terribly frightened. Where will he be sent? At this time, the iron box above his head was taken away, and a bright light came on. It was Tao Ran who came with a flashlight. She turned her face up and admired Nai Hua's bearish look. You want, ahem, where are you going to take me? A garbage star with a bad environment. Where do you think it is? K-Star, the only one who can be related to Baofu is K-Star. Sure enough, she wanted to take revenge for Tangzu. All previous judgments were correct. Yeah. So smart. Then, let's give you a reward. Tao Ran took out another dose of medicine. This, what is this? Medicine for bad face. You, what are you going to do? Of course, people won't be able to recognize you. Even if someone sees your body, they won't know who you are. Vicious woman, Nai Hua shook his head, you don't just go to Kotstar if you want to. You don't have the approval document to exile the prisoner. I've told you many times, right? Just mind your own business. You don't have to worry about anything else. Taoran ignored Nai Hua's struggle and inserted the needle directly. I'm warning you, it's illegal for you to detain me. Ahem, my dad won't let you go. Okay. Let me tell you this, no one will know that I am detaining you, and no one will find you. I am familiar with Kot Planet, and you will live an unforgettable life there. I will put you in the 8th area of Kota, and there are people waiting for you there. I will also cut a knife in your abdomen, so that you can enjoy the pleasure of being radiated. There are also evil beasts there. The fear in Nai Hua's eyes was getting bigger and bigger. These were all things he had done to Tang Zhu before. How does this woman know? Did Vincent tell her? Wrong. How did Vincent know so much detail? Even Jenny doesn't know about District 8. This woman said she was familiar with Kotstar. She had gone to Kotstar to investigate. It's still wrong. There is no one in District 8 and the natural conditions are still bad. How can she investigate? I'm sorry, please let me go. Nai Hua was a little scared. Because of your words, I will tell you a secret. Taoran squatted down. When you first saw me, did you feel a little familiar? Nai Hua trembled. Familiarity is real, but intimacy is forgettable. It should be discussed, right? Who are you anyway? Don't you understand yet? The reason why I know so much is another possibility. Nai Hua shook his head. Of course I am, Tang Zhu. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Tang Zhu is dead. Believe it or not. Nai Hua almost collapsed. Tang Zhu is not dead? Bao Fu is Tang Zhu? So this is the source of all their family's speculations. I am Tang Zhu, the half-sister you want to kill. I am better than you in everything. I am a genius, the one you can never catch up with. No matter how hard you try, you can only look up. Existence. And you, Nai Hua, are trash. Nai Hua felt like the world was spinning. He shook his head repeatedly and was speechless for a while. Impossible. Then, who is that Bob? The brother I met on Kotstar. Nai Hua choked again. No wonder you can sacrifice him. You liar. The new king of the alliance is actually a liar. Both each other. Aren't you and your father lying everywhere? Ha! I thought you were some kind of noble being. For personal gain and revenge, you did not hesitate to kill your own brother. Poor Bob. Nai Hua's voice suddenly stopped. There was another face in front of him. The face of a middle-aged man with a playful smile. Isn't this, not that Bob? Isn't he dead? Why are you here? Unlucky. Zhou Heiya took a sip and sprayed all the saliva on Nai Hua's face. Kid, be polite. When will I die? He grinned with big white teeth. How can I be willing to die when I'm waiting to go to the planet Kot? At this moment, Nai Hua's world really collapsed. So, what did he do? Did he even blow up the wrong person with his retaliatory bombing? She was acting with him from beginning to end. Everything he and his whole family did was planned by others. Is it all in vain? Indeed. The most important reason why Taoran took the Rookie King was to use high pressure to force the Nai family. For this final round, Nai Ronghai, that old fox, always stayed on the front line and watched without moving. But she still had a way of forcing the Nai family to despair. Bao Fu became the mortal enemy of everyone in the Nai family, and a stumbling block in the road ahead for the Nai family. So for their own sake, they had only one way to get rid of her. And Zhou Heiya, who has been with her as her father, will definitely be within the opponent's attack range. Either to vent hatred, or to serve as a hostage. So when he got the new queen that day, Taoran went home to make arrangements. It's actually not easy to deal with her. She was at the military academy on weekdays, so it was impossible for them to break into the military academy. Deep down in their hearts, they must also want to stop her from taking the first military academy to win the team battle again. Once she wins, she will be the trump card of the First Army and the First Military Academy, and it will be more difficult for them to clean her out. So they have to move as fast as possible. Tao Ran guessed that they would take action before the team battle started. Originally, she imagined that the time for them to take action would be on the transit star or on the way to the transit star. What the Nai family didn't know was that the two houses of the Bao family had been included in the prevention and control scope of the First Army as early as 3 months ago at Tao Ran's request. Before the Rookie King competition, the First Army sent people to control the area. No sneakiness will escape their eyes. Sure enough, the night before yesterday, Tao Ran received news that the villa had been targeted. She knew at that time that the other party was probably going to use Zhou Heiyi as an excuse to force her. But everyone from Tao Ran to Kona felt that we should focus on foreign affairs and not be led by the enemy. So they took the initiative to create conditions for the enemy. Their first military academy arrived at the transit star 1 day earlier than other military schools, and deliberately set aside one night for the other party to dance. With such a good opportunity, I guess the Nai family would have to find a way to take advantage of it even if they had no conditions. Sure enough, everything was planned. As soon as they arrived at the transit star, news came from the First Army of the Central Star. Someone had already remotely targeted the Bao family's house. So they had already started making preparations at that time. At that time, they had quietly mobilized a starship transiting the star. In addition, 2 starships belonging to the First Army on the nearby star have also quietly set off, slowly approaching the transit star, ready to obey the control at any time. When Tao Ran was threatened, he used his spare optical brain to contact Wu Yu and confirmed that Nai Ronghai had not returned. Therefore, the leader of this operation can only be Nai Hua. Tao Ran knew he would definitely come. Just like he did with Tang Zhu that day, he would watch with his own eyes and realize some of his vanity. Especially since Tao Ran had treated him like this before. With such an opportunity to show off his anger, he naturally wanted to enjoy the satisfaction. While she and Nai Hua were dealing with the light brain, the starship that had been called in the warehouse had already begun loading people, weapons, and small mechas, just waiting for some people to fall into the trap. Most of the people who boarded the starship, except Mi Hongyu, Wu Yu, and others, were soldiers arranged by Wei Senator. She could use them with confidence, and no one would say anything. It's that simple. As for Zhou Heiyi, on the day Tao Ran got the newcomer king, he was secretly taken away under the escort of the First Army. In order to make Tao Ran feel at ease, Zhou Heiyi was always with her. However, the Bob that Nai Hua's people saw vaguely from a distance was just a robot with a 3D printed skin that was controlled remotely by the people from the First Army. How could Nai Hua's people tell it was fake even though they were several kilometers apart? So at this moment, when Tao Ran showed a video to Nai Hua collapsed even more. As soon as his father's men fired photon cannons at the Bao family, they were captured by the First Army. You're crazy. Nai Hua subconsciously stayed away from Tao Ran. Since you have that ability, why didn't you subdue them first? Why do you have to wait for them to fire those shots? Tao Ran smiled. Without those few cannons, how can we cause such a big trouble? How can we force the military and the alliance government to investigate thoroughly? Even the new king in the army dares to attack. How can the murderer be an ordinary person? He dares to cause trouble in the Central Star. Of course you are a terrorist organization. Last time it was a big deal, but it won't be this time. People from the First Army suddenly appeared, and the optical brain seized from the raiders still contained contact information with Nai Hua that they had not had time to delete. The Nai family is related to terrorist organizations. With the lead last time, they will definitely not escape this time. Tao Ran also obtained the optical brain that Nai Hua had no time to destroy, and has sent it to the military for decryption. He thinks that the matter of interstellar pirates will soon surface. With those few shots, the First Army's anti-terrorism achievements have been made again. We are both victims and perpetrators. The people both sympathize with us and support us. Even if the team loses, our gains are not small. While the First Army was fighting terrorism, it also wiped out a group of interstellar pirates. The combined results of the two were impressive. As for my loss, it doesn't matter. The Nai family will pay for it anyway. That house was not suitable for the brothers to live together. Zhou Heiya had long wanted to rebuild a house based on the mansion in the 4th district of Ketzing. It just so happened that this time the Nai family paid for it. Yes, he bought insurance before. This house must be built to satisfy him and his brothers. Nai Hua, like Tang Zhu, was put directly in the 8th area by the aircraft after being cut with a knife. Zhou Heiya, Tao Ran and Tang Yu sat there, watching his whole process from begging to slowly falling into the abyss of pain. Nai Hua suffered all the hardships that Tang Zhu suffered. In order to attract the evil bird, Tang Yu took a whip with red eyes and whipped him till he was covered in blood. The pain of the evil bird's tearing flesh and the pain of radiation tortured Nai Hua to the point of dying. A few hours later, Nai Hua died on the same sand dune where Tang Zhu died that day. Tao Ran left. She rushed to Lipsing. Not long after leaving the Kotstar range, she received news. Nai Ronghai knew that the operation failed and that after losing contact with his son, he indeed left the front line without the approval of the military. Tao Ran smiled. One link after another, without Nai Hua missing, how could the old fox come out of the hole? He is afraid that something will happen to his son, so he will make mistakes in a hurry. So now, even if the old fox hasn't done anything, he has already violated military discipline. Central Star has found out that the terrorist actions are related to the Nai family, and will definitely ask him to cooperate in the investigation. Now that he has violated discipline, he will definitely not go to the military headquarters to cooperate with the investigation, so he will definitely not dare to show up yet, and will definitely focus on looking for Nai Hua first. He should be given a taste of running around. Tao Ran returned to the team and participated in the team battle. Tao Ran still did not change his style and drove a super large mecha to clear the way for the team. The first military academy was united and the momentum was high. In the 48-hour team battle, he finally had the last laugh and won the trophy. Tao Ran felt that Nai Ronghai was probably watching her very close. But until the team battle ended and she and her teammates boarded the starship back to the Central Star, she didn't even wait for Nai Ronghai's move. Hey! She actually really hoped that the old guy would take action. Pity. So, Tao Ran launched another round of plans. She deliberately let out some clues, saying that someone saw Nai Hua being taken to Planet Kot. 3 days later, an aircraft landed on Kot. After receiving the news, Tao Ran and Tang Yu went together and watched from a distance as people got off the starship one after another. Tang Yu quickly locked onto a tall old man. The old man was leading 3 young men, dressed like businessmen. It's him, she was sure. When the old man reached a deserted street, Tang Yu rushed out. Whether it is or not, you will know once you try it. Tang Yu flashed in front of the old man, and the old man's eyes suddenly turned fierce. Then, one of the two ran and the other chased. As for the 3 young people beside the old man, they were knocked apart by the hover car that suddenly rushed out sideways. Mu Guang waved his hand, and dozens of people jumped out of the car, surrounding the 3 people. A tiger can't suppress a local snake. The 3 of them didn't dare to take action. When they tried to chase Nai Ronghai, they found that their leader was already missing. Tang Yu only led Nai Ronghai for more than 300 meters before jumping into Tao Ran's car, who came to meet him. Nai Ronghai fired several shots at her, but failed to hit anyone at all. As soon as we got in the car, the situation suddenly changed. Tao Ran's car turned 180 degrees and started chasing Nai Ronghai. On this unfamiliar planet, Nai Ronghai's legs were no match for his four wheels, and he was caught up within a few minutes. Afterwards, Tao Ran and Tang Yu went straight 2-on-1, rushing forward and doing it. Mu Guang, on the other hand, led people to help clear the scene. More than an hour later, Nai Ronghai was thrown to his old place in District 8. He was shot several times and was slapped in the sand. Nai Ronghai didn't understand, how could they come and go freely on this planet full of exiles? Where did the firearms come from? How do you manage to have a car and people and still be familiar with everything? Nai Ronghai only caught a few rags under his body. He found it very familiar. That belongs to your son, Tang Yu told him bluntly. Where is Nai Hua? He roared. Carried away by birds. What bird? You'll know soon. Tang Yu cut a big gash on Nai Ronghai's body. Take me to him. Are you going to collect the body? Unfortunately, there are probably no bones left of him, Tang Yu sneered. Nai Hua is not qualified to have his body collected. You will soon realize what your son's fate will be like. If you die on the planet Kot, not only will your body be left behind, but no one will collect it for you. Without protective clothing, Nai Ronghai gradually lost his vitality in the radiation. He noticed that this was some sense of ritual that Yu Tan wanted to have. Before losing consciousness, Nai Ronghai's eyes finally fixed on Tao Ran. Who are you? You don't deserve to know, Tao Ran said coldly. She thought that Tang Zu would not want a father like this. Nai Ronghai finally died on the planet Kot. The general, who was only one step away from the pinnacle of power, passed away quietly. This chapter has a lot more words than it needs, but I'm finally almost done. There is also a short supplementary ending to the story, which will be given the day after tomorrow because I have to take leave tomorrow. After all, you haven't taken leave for more than a month, right? Buying New Year's goods, cleaning, etc., there are so many things to do. I love you so much. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 670. People from the military headquarters searched everywhere in the Alliance, but could not find Nai Ronghai or Nai Hua. But whether it is collusion with interstellar pirates or terrorist attacks, the government and military cannot tolerate it. The Alliance issued a wanted order and searched for these two people across the galaxy. Nai Ronghai and Nai Hua probably never thought about it even after they died. Even if they were dead, they would still be the targets of everyone shouting and beating and hunting for them everywhere. Dissy, Nai Jenny and some of the DIF family members were monitored to prevent them from secretly contacting Nai Ronghai. Nai Hua's optical brain became key evidence. The captured raiders and interstellar pirates were interrogated intensively. If Nai Ronghai was still here, these people would naturally be able to grit their teeth and persevere. But now that Nai Hua is missing and Nai Ronghai is on the run, these people will naturally not be stupid enough to help others take the blame. When the tree falls and the Hosens scatter, they all recognize each other with one move. Soon, all kinds of shady things done by the Nai family were exposed. Nai and his son disappeared completely, but no one thought they were dead. After all, both of them are masters of physical and mental strength, and there are probably only a few people in the world who can kill them silently. Therefore, even the coalition government believed that the father and son fled because they were afraid that the incident would be revealed and they would no longer be able to hide it. Dissy and Nai Jenny were both affected. Although there is no direct evidence linking them to a series of incidents, the Alliance government no longer intends to tolerate the Nai family. The Nai family was liquidated, and all their properties were taken back to compensate the Bao family and the First Army for their losses. Dissy and Nai Jenny were kicked out of the Nai family mansion. Their names were put on the blacklist. Until the Nai and his son are caught, they must operate under the nose of the government and cannot leave the Central Star. Not only were they semi-monitored, they also lost their wealthy lives. The delicate Dissy couldn't bear it and collapsed directly. But the story of the princess turning into Cinderella that Jenny Nye fears most is here. Her friends and suitors disappeared one by one, and she still had to work to earn money to make ends meet. She missed the past every day and every night, and cursed her missing father and brother all the time. As the backers of the Nye family, the De family naturally could not escape implication, and the government soon found a reason to attack them. The De family, which has been glorious for hundreds of years, finally collapsed. As for the Eighth Army, which had been led by Nye Rong Hai for many years, it had to keep a low profile when faced with this change, and many military tasks were taken over by other armies. After the military academy competition, the First Military Academy and the First Army rose rapidly. Coupled with their several meritorious services, Shimo's approval rate also skyrocketed. Taoran was really greedy for the spiritual stones from the planet Kot, so after dealing with Nye Rong Hai, she did not return to the Central Star immediately. Instead, she took advantage of the one-month vacation granted to her by the military academy and stayed in the mines day and night to practice, for fear that she might not be there. God will be pulled out of his body. But it turned out that her worries were in vain. After staying on the planet for a full month, she showed no sign of leaving this world. However, after this month of practice, the wood spirit in her soul seemed to have solidified a lot. Those two little buds grew out again. Taoran was just sorry that Mr. Bai still hadn't come to his door until now. And when she mobilized her connections, she couldn't find a very famous Mr. Bai in this world. Therefore, Mr. Bai did not come. What happened? Taoran sighed. What's also strange is that her mission is basically completed, but she is still in this world. She didn't know if there was any reason. Did Tangzu want her to train her body better? When Taoran returned to the military academy to report a month later, he heard a piece of news. Said Jenny Nye has become a celebrity again. It turns out that Nye Jenny couldn't stand the lowly and vulgar jobs and looked down on the bedbug-like life at the bottom, so she decided to accept a rich second generation who had been pursuing her for several months. Dissy didn't agree, so she had a fight with Dissy and ran away. She moved into a villa owned by a rich second generation, waiting to marry a man. Afraid of being scolded, she only sent Dissy a sum of money and then didn't show up again. Until now, she hasn't seen her seriously ill mother for nearly 10 days. Unexpectedly, 3 days ago, a large group of people broke into the villa of the rich second generation. The young woman at the head slapped Nye Jenny more than 10 times. Only then did Jenny Nye know that the rich second generation already had a fiancé, and even the wedding date had been set. She was deceived. The fiancé directly publicized Nye Jenny's affair, causing her reputation to fall to the bottom. Nye Jenny was furious and went to argue with the second generation rich man. Unexpectedly, in order to preserve his reputation, that bitch said that she had seduced him and left her alone. Nye Jenny moved her hands in anger, the man called the police, and Nye Jenny was arrested. Now the man is being forced by his fiancée to sue Nye Jenny for hurting someone. Nye Jenny has only 2 options left, either to be sued or to pay compensation. Tang Yu heard that Dissy was alone in the hospital and went to visit her. 3 days later, Dissy died. Tang Yu didn't do anything, he just told her a few stories, including the recent events of her husband, son, and daughter, of course. So Dissy was stunned and angry. Zhou Heiya's house was rebuilt. After the bombing, 2 neighboring families also moved away. So Zhou Heiya bought all that piece. He simply built a big house. The kind with more than 20 rooms. He hoped that one day his brothers from Kot would come and live there. Yes, it was Tang Yu who said this. She regarded Taoran and Zhou Heiya's gang as benefactors. As for her, although she must retaliate against others, she will repay those drops of kindness even more. She told Taoran that these brothers were also her friends. The First Army was also kind to her. She will not stop her daughter's future choices, and will do her best to rescue the brothers on the planet Kot and take good care of them. Therefore, she built a small house next to Joheia's mansion for herself to live in. Tao Ran was very happy that Tang Yu could finally let go of the past, so he taught her how to use spiritual energy to nourish the body of ordinary people and prolong life, and gave her the task of regularly treating the old man of the Mi family. With the Mi family protecting him, even if Tang Zhu doesn't want to join the army in the future, it won't be a big problem. Everything was settled. Tao Ran was relieved. She was ready to leave. However, the strange thing is that it took several days before the familiar feeling of detachment appeared. The time in the void is not tense at all. She exchanged a few words with Tang Zhu and stole half of the faith gained from this world. As soon as she entered the void, she found that the golden light on her body was particularly thick. Although Tao Buran and Bao Fu are both vests, it is obvious that the trumpet's faith is also counted on her. She also did a lot of good deeds, all of which were rewarded. Since Elizabeth can't control the higher world, she would be foolish not to steal so much faith. Sitting cross-legged, she sealed a large part of her faith into her soul. The wood spirit jumped twice, obviously liking it very much. The return teleport this time is also weird. She did not appear in the fantasy castle, and she did not even see Elizabeth. But the old witch clearly said that when the world ends, her mental power and skill usage will be checked. However, this time, only the blood beads were taken away, and the old witch didn't even say a word. Tao Ran woke up on her bed and looked at her wrist. The old witch didn't give her a new blood mole. Lost contact? The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 671. When Tao Ran thought that she would have 3 months to herself in the next 3 months, she became excited. I looked at the time and saw that 3 days had passed this time. When she woke up this time, her ears and eyes were sharp. She listened carefully and could even sense that her neighbor 100 meters away was doing general cleaning in the yard. Mental strength has become stronger. The space of spiritual consciousness is also clearer and wider. I have to say that this trip to the interstellar world was quite worthwhile. After washing her face, she felt that her complexion was much better than before. After contacting Shan Shan, she was told that the format of her performance for the Spring Festival Gala had been decided. The directing team still felt that it was a pity to add her to the opening dance with hundreds of people, so they specially customized a short program for her and placed it second, immediately following the opening song and dance. Since the time was acceptable, Tao Ran readily agreed. The next day, a dedicated choreographer and director came to her door to discuss the performance presentation method with her. In the following days, Tao Ran's life focused on rehearsals. She took Granny Hua with her the whole time. Grandfather and grandson are happy every day. In almost 10 days, she completely won her solo performance. The next step is just to wait for rehearsals again and again. Tao Ran took a long trip. She ran to a virgin forest in Guizhou and rented a private house there for a month. Last time in Lin Haixuan, the spiritual energy was abundant, which directly helped her break through the second level of Qi training. This time, she chose the virgin forest where the wood spiritual energy was more abundant to practice. Her choice was correct. The wood spirit energy in the air here is at least 3 times higher than where she lives. After 1 month of practice, the results are very good. His consciousness became clear, and the leaves of the wood spirit bud also became thicker. Every time Tao Ran peeked at it, it seemed to sense it and would shake its leaves at her twice. It can be regarded as a partner who has saved him and shared the joys and sorrows with him. What Tao Ran can do is to improve himself as much as possible and help it grow up faster. She still remembered that old man Chang Feng said that this wood spirit might one day help her escape from the clutches of the soul. Time flies and it's years ago. Tao Ran took Granny Hua back to the villa she rented. This is the first time in nearly 10 years that Taoran celebrates the New Year like an ordinary person. The two prepared New Year's goods together, put up window grills and couplets, steamed buns and cakes, cooked vegetables and made dumplings, and sat on the sofa to watch cross-talk sketches. This kind of comfort is what Taoran has always wanted but lacked in his life. Having owned her once, she cherishes it even more and only hopes that her health can continue. After several rehearsals, New Year's Eve finally arrived. Granny Hua was also invited by the program team to watch the performance. Following the opening song and dance, the whole stage was full of spring. The stage opens like a scroll. A woman in Hanfu descends from the sky, majestic and elegant, like a mysterious goddess from the 9 heavens, giving people an infinite sense of beauty. She picks up vines and moves in the air, light and graceful, like an elf descending from the earth. The picture is too beautiful to behold. The 2 sleeves moved, and the wide sleeves billowed. With the rhythm of the music, the layered sleeves change into different colors, like petals. With the constant rotation, the woman's whole body looks like a blooming flower. Is that Taoran? Does she still have this ability? Only then did many people see that there seemed to be something on the scroll of the scenery. Looking closely, Taoran's sleeves were leaving traces on the scroll as she moved. She is painting. The setting is suddenly bright. Everyone can clearly see the heralding of spring gradually appearing under Taoran's hands. The audience at the scene and in front of the TV were stunned. It turns out that Taoran has this skill. How could her hands move so fast? How do you dance and paint while wearing hanfu? Isn't her head dizzy? The key part is that the painting is so lifelike and complete in one go. After finishing the painting, she also inscribed the words "Blessed World." After the scroll was completed, Taoran faced everyone and bowed, then she waved her sleeves again. I saw countless petals being scattered in her sleeves, and like a fairy who occasionally appeared in the world, she gradually rotated and rose again in the beautiful picture. She thought it was over, but she hung upside down and found 2 more spring couplets in her hands. As soon as everyone saw the words written on the couplet clearly, the fairy smiled suddenly. It rained blessings from the sky, and Taoran's sleeves turned up again. Candy, chocolate and red envelopes flew from her sleeves. A lucky draw event also appeared on the live broadcast screen. At this time, tonight's 3rd solo program Spring has also begun. Taoran exited from the high-altitude WIA. Her Spring Festival Gala debut was completed. The effect was very good. Granny Hua was so excited that she could not speak coherently. The director of the Spring Festival Gala even came to praise it. Taoran's appearance directly occupied 4 of the top 10 real-time searches. They are, Taoran Dance, Taoran Painting, Treasure Taoran and How Many Things Are Hidden in Taoran's Sleeves. At the end of the Spring Festival Gala, she also won the audience's Favorite Actor award. After attending the Spring Festival Gala, I realized a life value. Taoran was in a good mood. And she has also grown 1 year older. She stayed up all night, looking at the New Year's sun. She couldn't help but be excited. She made a wish towards the rising sun, hoping that by this time next year, she would have solved the curse in her life and could live a life of freedom and freedom from control. After the New Year, Taoran began to worry about something. Soon it will be time to pay rent again. Are you going to sell itineraries again? The salary given by the national TV station is good, but the little money she gets every month is probably enough to pay for the rent. Even if there are various subsidies, when will she be able to buy a house? She can't keep renting a house, right? With her sensitive status, she is not suitable for living in an apartment. She must at least buy a suburban villa. This is a lot of money. On the 3rd day of the Lunar New Year, she received an invitation. It was the Beijing Drama University that invited her to be a visiting professor and teach acting. Only 10 classes are required each semester. She was a little moved. Otherwise, go work? Wouldn't it be nice to have another part-time job? Granny Hua returned to the nursing home, and Taoran began to practice and exercise day and night again. On this day, she felt something as soon as she ran up the mountain and back. She was being targeted. She didn't take it seriously at the time, and sure enough, by night, she was on the hot search list. Taoran was photographed, is the entry. Although she retreated from the circle for a while, her popularity has never diminished. I have been traveling a lot lately, so I finally asked someone to follow me. Her residence was completely exposed. When she was photographed in the morning, Taoran was too lazy to care, but now, she was a little angry. There is no problem with the content being photographed, but there is question about her as a person. The Zijing news reporter questioned her, saying that she had clearly donated all her wealth, so how could she still live in this luxurious villa surrounded by mountains and lakes? Although the housing prices here are not high, they are not low either. The property alone is the annual expenditure of an ordinary family, which is definitely not affordable for ordinary people. So, she lied. She did not donate all her property. She exaggerated the facts and deceived the people in order to gain popularity and reputation. He also said that she kept saying that she was quitting the industry, but in fact she still appeared on the screen frequently, slapped herself in the face, and her words and deeds were inconsistent. After all, he is an actor. He has earned a lot of fame, but he has never left the circle. I wish you all a happy new year. I wish you all a prosperous new year, great wealth, happiness, and good health. In addition, I would like to mention that I am asking for leave tomorrow, not because I need to rest, but mainly because I want to work out the plot of the new world. I also have something to say about the new world. The originally set world was not suitable for the occasion and may not be suitable for celebrating the new year, so you, the author, changed it temporarily. In addition, the last part of this chapter is actually inspired by my thoughts. Yes, the thing in the Zijing newspaper should be changed to Xin. Everyone understands. I was really angry because of the boys' incident a few days ago. In reality, they escaped, but in the story, they must take responsibility. Finally, I wish you all a happy and successful new year. I love you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 672. Although most netizens are very sensible, it proves that Taoran has done enough and good enough. Looking at the entire Chinese entertainment industry, and even the entire Asia-Pacific region, Taoran is the artist with the highest amount of charity. Even if she really leaves a villa, there is nothing wrong with it. Some netizens strongly testified that the villa exposed by Zijing News was a rental house and was not purchased by Taoran. But the reporter responded that even if it is rented out, the rent is tens of thousands a month. If Taoran really donated everything, she wouldn't be able to afford this house, and it would be impossible for her to live such a luxurious life. She can rent a house like this with an unknown amount of money. Apparently she concealed her property and deceived the public. In order to increase the popularity, another informed person revealed that Taoran has almost no income now, but still lives a glamorous and extravagant life. He must be a wealthy man. Suddenly, internet trolls also began to appear. Taoran's anger gradually rose. But more importantly, it was directed at the Zijing newspaper. Is it easy for her? She left 1 million for herself to treat her illness and wait for death. She did a great thing, but when she turned around, she was questioned by the media, saying she didn't cut off all the flesh on her body. Is she feeling aggrieved? How? She must donate nothing, be selfless for the public, and live a poor life to be worthy of praise. She is not a saint. Not Buddha. Are they saints? Why should they hold themselves to the standards of saints? At least I have real money to help others and lead people to do good deeds, but what about those who hide behind the screen to secretly take pictures and verbally criticize? What did they do? The unscrupulous media does not know how to guide correct values. In order to gain traffic, grab eyeballs, and gain their wealth code, they don't care about the truth at all. They incite public opinion and kidnap morality without considering the consequences and social impact. They don't care whether the target will be exposed online or whether they will feel chilled. They don't even consider that because of the existence of media like them, many people feel that they are not qualified and have no need to help disadvantaged groups. It is precisely because of media like theirs that more ignorant and fearless bugs will follow them and hide behind the keyboard to abuse and attack at will. Whether they are celebrities or amateurs, they have become their targets and become a vast and stinky network. The violent army. However, although Taoran was angry, she had an appointment with the principal of the drama school that night to discuss teaching, so she was not able to deal with the situation for the time being. But never expected that those seeking death would still keep jumping around. That day, Taoran went to a very remote Japanese restaurant for an appointment with the principal. Because they were both in the same circle, there was a topic, and Taoran was also very interested in academic performances, so they had a pleasant conversation. The two chatted for 2 hours and basically settled on the matter. Shanshan had left beforehand, so it was the principal who sent Taoran home. However, when Taoran got home, he just took a shower and found that he was trending again. The most popular search, Taoran had a secret date with a certain man for 2 hours, and then returned to the boudoir together. Absurd. Taoran couldn't help but curse, those people were really eager to catch her heat. She took a look and saw that this time it was the Zijing news. It was still cutting off the beginning and ending. She didn't mention that Shanshan was present most of the time they met, almost all of which were about the contract. She also never mentioned that the principal sent her home. It takes less than 10 minutes from entering the community to coming out. It's just making up a story. The principal's identity was revealed, and conspiracy theories began to emerge. Some say that the drama school has a very good relationship with so-and-so above and has a huge backer. Some say that Taoran has actually been ingratiating himself with the principal for a long time just so he can take on the drama. This time we went to the Spring Festival Gala because of the help of the principal. Some people even said that the villa was rented by the principal. More and more outrageous. So the next day, Taoran did his first live broadcast for the first time in his life. I'm Taoran. I heard that someone has been spreading rumors about me recently. Now, I want to prove my innocence. Please forward it more and please open your eyes to the unscrupulous media. Taoran handed the phone to Shinshin's hand. She has asked her previous company to inform the live broadcast platform to confirm that the live broadcast will not be suspended due to any other factors. Such a good thing came from the platform, and everyone was so happy that Taoran's live broadcast was pushed to almost everyone who was using this app. In just 5 minutes, the number of people in the live broadcast room reached 1 million. The comments from netizens are almost uniform. Praise Taoran for her beauty. I didn't turn on the beauty function, so I took pictures of my face, but my condition was so good. The raw pictures look better than the ones with filters. My sister is absolutely beautiful. 10 minutes later, the number of people in the live broadcast room exceeded 3 million. When Taoran came to the city's largest law firm while broadcasting, the number of people online exceeded 6 million. Taoran took out the documents she had prepared: bank deposit certificate, all account expenditure certificates, rental contract, vehicle ownership certificate, copies of mail transactions, employment contract from the national television station, video provided by the owner of the Japanese food shop, vehicle entry and exit records in the community and a draft contract from the drama school and so on. The bank and account certificates clearly show that the deposits in her name are only a few $100,000, and she has almost no large income in the past year. Those public service advertisements and films are also shot for free. In addition, in the past 6 months, except for some New Year purchases, she has not been to the mall once or bought clothes once. The villa she lives in was rented by her former assistant Chan Chan through an agency. The agency can prove that it has nothing to do with the principal. The rent was paid by assistant Chan Chan from her personal account. The little shabby car she drives is also named after her assistant Chan Chan. The reason why she has had a regular income in recent months is because she signed a work contract with the national television station, so she went to the Spring Festival Gala because of herself, not others. The emails and contracts are all evidence that she was hired by the drama school. She and the vice principal were just talking about official business, and they met for the first time yesterday. Her WeChat records and phone call records can prove. At this time, the number of people online in her live broadcast room has exceeded 10 million. Her online refutation of rumors and answers to netizens one by one are much more effective than any short essay. I rent a villa because I like to be clean and need good security. I can't afford a villa, so I can only rent it. I want to survive, so I have to work. But I have no other skills except acting, so I signed a contract with a TV station. Pay rent, and then I have to teach. That's my explanation. All those who slandered me must pay the price. Not only to seek justice for myself, but also to establish a correct value guide for the society. The gifts in the live broadcast room were all over the place. Tao Ran told netizens that she will now go to the police station with her lawyer. She was serious. She had the live broadcast on the whole time, and her phone kept ringing. Zhejiang News wanted to reconcile with her, but she bluntly refused in front of the camera. I will not reconcile or negotiate with you. I will sue you to the end. I will also sue the media who follow suit. In addition, I will take every one of the internet trolls who slandered me last night and I caught them all. Tell. What was she doing last night? I didn't sleep all night, collecting evidence. She will not tolerate their mistakes. This time, she will hold them legally accountable. In addition to asking them to apologize in writing and video, she was also mentally injured and needed compensation for her reputation. I think she paid too little, so this time, let her see how much compensation she can get from these bed bugs. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 673. Just sue. The drama university supported Tao Ran and became the plaintiff, suing the group of people who spread rumors about their principal. National television also issued an announcement to boycott online violence to support Tao Ran. As soon as the official media spoke out, the Zhejiang News, which had already found capital and power, suddenly became scared. It offered various apologies and requests, expressing its willingness to apologize and make compensation, but all of them were rejected by Tao Ran. She still said that she would sue to the end. This kind of evil media needs to be nailed to the pillar of shame with a verdict to make them remember. 3 months have passed since Tao Ran and Elizabeth agreed. But this day, Tao Ran was not pulled away. Another 3 days passed, and she was still in her body. It wasn't until the 5th day that Elizabeth's voice suddenly appeared, startling Tao Ran. She seemed to be in a hurry and only said the next sentence, I have a lot of things to do recently, so I can only arrange for you to go to a random world. It won't be too far, so do it well. Also, my old enemy has appeared, so I have not been here recently. Maybe I can't control you, just do your own tasks and be careful. Don't die. The old witch only left the sentence, and Tao Ran was teleported. Etc. Is the old witch busy? Can't take care of yourself? Haters. Mr. Bai didn't appear in the last world. Is it because he was dealing with the old witch? Dizziness sets in. The benefits of the enhanced mental power were reflected. The feeling of detachment was greatly reduced, and the headache no longer hurt. After only a few dozen seconds of confusion, Taoran entered his new body. This time, I finally had good luck. She was lying down, or on the bed, under the quilt. Although, the quilt is a bit thin and hard, and the bed is not very comfortable. She raised her eyes slightly and looked around. It should be in the countryside, where everything is simple and original. Through the window, you can see two green bamboos outside, and the faint sound of a man reading can still be heard in your ears. Who reads like this? Modfi, or, what are you reading? Can't understand. It was a rare good thing to come here and lie down peacefully. Taoran turned over, changed into a comfortable position, and quickly absorbed the plot. No wonder she couldn't understand the sound of reading just now. This was an ancient time that she hadn't been to for a long time. Men read the 4 books and 5 classics. She, the girl Ji Wenqing, is 15 years old and is a village beauty recognized by the people within 10 miles. The reason why she is a village beauty is not that she is particularly beautiful, but that she has a scholar father, an educated man, and has a little reputation in the local area. And because she had been following her father since she was a child, she was literate and polite, delicate and refined, and she accidentally became a goddess figure recognized by everyone in the village. But although she was outstanding, no one in the village came to propose marriage. Is literacy useful in rural areas? Can I farm? Is it useful to understand etiquette? Can you work? Beautiful and useful? How many sons can you have? If you want to marry someone home, shouldn't you invite a Buddha? It is better to marry a strong man, who can work and give birth, and is also reassuring. Therefore, Ji Wenqing has reached the marriage age, and there are only a few people who propose marriage. But her family is in no hurry. Her scholarly father and stepmother wanted to go together, but the illiterate rural children around here were not worthy of their daughters, so if they wanted to marry, they would have to marry higher up. The scholar's father felt that at least he had to marry a literate man so that his father-in-law would be more honorable in the future. The stepmother thought that her stepdaughter was a young lady, and she had to at least marry a rich man to improve her family's life. You and your son will be more secure. The couple's wish came true. Ji Wenqing was lucky. One day he followed the scholar to visit relatives in the county town, and was accidentally seen by Mr. Feng, who was drinking tea in a tea house. The young master fell in love at first sight and followed him. After some inquiries, he pestered his family to marry the young lady from the Ji family. The Feng family secretly took a look at the little girl. She was well educated, gentle, and elegant. She was not inferior to those ladies, but her family was a bit poorer, and the most important thing his family lacked was money. Seeing that his son was lovesick, he wanted to marry a scholar so that his son could read more books by saints. Even if the son can't point it out, maybe the grandson born in the future will fall in love with reading. So, the Feng family came to propose marriage. When the scholar couple heard this, they found out that the Feng family was a big family in the county, and they had a relative who was an official. In their place, they were the high-ranking officials mentioned in the books. Ji Zioki was naturally elated that his daughter could fly high. He thought that maybe he could get help from his son-in-law's family in the future, or maybe he could help himself, who had repeatedly failed in the exam. When the stepmother saw the scene, she felt happy. The stepdaughter's marriage has directly improved the family's life, hasn't it? The marriage was just settled. The wedding date was set and the two families began preparations. Everything went well. After more than half of the etiquette was gone, news suddenly came from the county town that the Feng family wanted to cancel the engagement. When I asked someone about it, they said that the Ji family's young lady, Kefu, defeated their Feng family. It is nonsense to talk about talent but not enough energy. I've already talked about the horoscopes before, and I didn't say they were incompatible with each other. What's going on now? After spending money to find someone to inquire carefully, I found out that the head of the Feng family met an old Taoist priest when he went out a few days ago. He said a few words about his family and pointed out his son's marriage. It means that his family is going to marry this daughter-in-law, which is a dark cloud. As a result, on the way back, the Feng family's carriage was suddenly frightened and almost caused a serious accident. Thanks to the help of a passing Zheng, the Feng family leader was still injured. After that, many strange things happened in the Feng family. The old lady's rosary beads suddenly scattered all over the floor while she was chanting, the tablets in the ancestral hall suddenly fell off, crows came in front of the hall, and the jujube tree behind the house suddenly died. Unknown clouds began to hang over the heads. Even if the Feng family didn't believe it, the old lady at home did not believe it and refused to agree to her grandson's marriage, life or death. Just like that, the marriage was ruined. What will happen if Gzioki finds out the whole story? He doesn't care about the scholar's aloofness and superiority. He won't marry if he doesn't want to marry. When he got angry, he scolded the Feng family a few times and returned all the gifts that the Feng family had given him. Unexpectedly, for some reason, Ji Wenking's reputation spread throughout the 10-mile radius overnight, and everyone knew that she was the one whose engagement was broken off. The scholar heard people gossiping but did not want to talk to others, so he fell ill after returning home. As a result, soon word spread in the village that Ji Wenking had returned to his father. It was also unlucky that at that time, 3 pigs in the Ji family's pig pen also died of illness. I don't know who is quick to talk, but now, Ji Wenking's reputation became even louder. 3 months later, Mr. Feng married Zheng Qingqin from a neighboring village. That is, the carriage was in trouble and the daughter of Zheng Zioki, the head of the Feng family, was saved. When it comes to Ji Wenking and Zheng Qingqin, they have quite a few similarities. They are all daughters of scholars. However, the Ji family is local, while the Zheng family moved here 10 years ago. Therefore, even if they are both scholars, the villagers only recognize the local Ji Zioki. If they want to write couplets, sacrifice accounts, or letters, they always go to Ji Zioki. When it comes to praising unmarried girls, everyone only remembers Ji Wenking and never Zheng Qingqin. In fact, Zheng Qingqin is more beautiful, but everyone thinks that Ji Wenking is the village beauty of the 10 villages in the radius. Zheng Qingqin was always overwhelmed, and every time she saw Ji Wenking, she couldn't help but say a few words. The day before Zheng Qingqin got married, she came to Ji's house to deliver wedding invitations and invite her to drink wedding wine. It's useless to beat me 100 times, Zheng Qingqin slapped the red post on Ji Wenking's chest. As long as I win you the most important time, I will always be superior to you.